So welcome to my Bricks Builder review / walkthrough. Now, I've been using Beaver Builder for the last 6 years for every single website that I've built, and I still love Beaver Builder to this day. But recently, I kept seeing people in Facebook groups posting about a page builder called Bricks Builder, and it got to the point where I really just couldn't ignore it anymore. As somebody that is doing these YouTube videos and then writing blog posts that teach people how to use WordPress plugins and build WordPress websites, I knew that I couldn't ignore this page builder that everyone was talking about. And so it got to the point where I knew that I really needed to try it. So 1 month ago, I bought, downloaded, installed Bricks Builder, and after using it for a little bit, I've eventually just got to the point where I upgraded my starter license to the unlimited license, and I've even converted my entire website that was built using Beaver Builder over to using Bricks Builder just because of how epic Bricks Builder has been. So I'll summarize this video quickly by saying that as a Beaver Builder fanboy for the last 6 years, Bricks Builder has now become my go-to page builder, and it's the one that I'm going to be using to build all the websites in the foreseeable future. Over the last month, I've been getting to know the ins and outs of Bricks Builder, and along the way, I've been documenting my favorite features into a blog post that I'll link to in the description below. Today, I want to make this quick video to show you some of my favorite features that are available inside of Bricks Builder, and some of these that I never had available inside of Beaver Builder. So the way that I'm going to structure this is I'm going to show you along the way the feature inside Bricks Builder, then I'll point out why this is a useful feature for you, and then I'll show you how I'm using this in my live website. Then what we'll do is we'll go into a demo website and I'll show you how to go and set up this specific setting or feature to give you an idea of how you go and do it inside of Bricks to save you time. This video might seem long, but it's very fast paced and I've been adding to it over the last week to give you the best summary of all the things that I wish that I'd been able to see in a YouTube video before I went ahead and bought Bricks. Now, if you're somebody that's already gone out and bought Bricks Builder, this video is also going to help you because it's going to get you up to speed and building better websites faster, because I'll be showing each of these features in detail. But I will stress though before we get into this, because I know some people will find this really fast paced. This is meant to be a fast paced video, and the point of this video is to show you what's possible inside Bricks Builder versus a slow step-by-step tutorial. If you want to see a video tutorial on each of the features in a slower paced tutorial, I will be posting them on my channel in the upcoming weeks. And lastly, Bricks Builder at this point in time don't have an affiliate program, so these aren't my affiliate links. I just genuinely love Bricks Builder. I wanted to share some of my favorite features with you in this video. If Bricks do open up an affiliate program, I will be updating my links at some point in time in the future. But for now, if you found anything in this video useful, like something saves you even just the smallest bit of time, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel to see my future WordPress tutorials. So with that said, let's get into the first video today and enjoy the video. So an important thing that I didn't realize before I actually bought Bricks Builder is that Bricks Builder is not a page builder that you install and then you have your WordPress theme. It's actually a WordPress theme that has a page builder inside it. So for example, here I am on this demo website that's running on Bricks Builder. So if I go up to here and go to dashboard, and then I go under plugins and I go to active plugins, you can see that there's no Bricks Builder page builder plugin that I have installed here. Whereas if I go to appearance and then I go to themes, I have the Bricks Builder parent theme and then I have a Bricks child theme. So the code that is responsible for the Bricks page builder is actually inside the theme. Now, I was a little bit hesitant when I first realized this, when I installed it and realized it wasn't a plugin. I was like, well, then I'm locked in, I'm installing this theme and then I'm building all my content using the page builder in this theme. So really, if I ever want to change themes, then I would have to rebuild all my content with a new page builder. And when I really considered it, to be honest, I haven't changed themes or page builders for the last 6 years. And I just converted my blog from Beaver Builder over to Bricks Builder, and it only took a couple of days. And I mean, that was me full-time, doing it. And I mean, it's really going to depend on how much content you have and so on, obviously, but it really wasn't an issue for me. Okay, so that might be like a con for some people. They don't want to be locked into using a page builder inside a theme. But, I went from being a little bit skeptic about it to really taking a step back and considering it. And the pros of doing it this way just makes so much sense. So I really understand after using this for a month why Bricks Builder chose to go this route. And it really does make a lot of sense. It allows you to build a website where all the elements across your page better match, and it's just way more powerful. So I'm going to go through these features later on in this video as well. But one main feature is that you can define the styles for your website in your your theme. And then when you're using the Bricks page builder, it takes the styling from your theme. It just makes so much sense. So best way to do anything like this is just to show you. So let's go ahead and with our Bricks theme active, let's go to our front end and let's go and add a new page. So I'm going to go to new and then page, and I'm just going to call this global styles, and then we'll click publish, and then let's go ahead and edit with Bricks. And now we're in the Bricks page builder. So if we go up to here, settings, and then theme settings, we can go ahead and create a global theme style. So if I go add or create, and then I type in here Grant's main style, and I click create, it says here, so I can set like general, the site layout. So I can do all the things that you're probably used to setting for your theme in the WordPress customizer. That would be under there, like colors, the primary color, secondary color, and so on. But to get my point across, let's just say we go down to typography, and let's just say my body typography, I'm going to set it to be black, for example. And let's go and set our font family. So my font family, let's just say I want to do like Open Sans or something. Or let's just choose one that's obvious. So railway. So railway like that. And I'm going to leave it like that. And then for my headings, I might choose the color. And let's just make all the headings on my website like a purple color. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to change the font family. And I'm going to choose Oswald. Again, just a really unique font so we can see what we're doing here. So I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, so I've set the text and the headings for my entire website here. So now what I can do is I can go down and have a look at these element hyphen heading, element hyphen icon box, element hyphen image. So what are these? These are the elements that you use to build your pages, and you're setting the default styling for them. So for example, if I go to element hyphen button, you can see we have the default style, we have the primary, the secondary, light, dark, small, and so on. So let's just go ahead and let's just say for the primary, I'm going to set the background color, and we're going to do a like green. So a dark green like that. So primary, dark green. Secondary, let's choose something a bit different. We're going to choose pink, and I'm just going to choose the color of the fonts. So I'm going to make this a white. That, and then I might actually make this a darker green just so we have that contrast. And then over here, I'm going to make this white as well. And then I'm going to make this darker as well. Now, another thing is as we're going through and doing this, we can save colors. So let's just say I really like this. I could click save, and now that's in my color palette over there. And this one here, I can click save as well. And then if I ever want to use that again throughout anywhere in the Bricks interface, just say I want to set it for the light, we can click here, and then there it is there to save. Okay, so let's do that. So style primary is green, style secondary is this one here. And we can also set if we got the default, we could do the same. So we'll set this to white text, and then we're going to change this to a dark red like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. So this is the equivalent of when you install a WordPress theme and you're setting the defaults for your theme in the WordPress customizer. That's what I'm doing here. But because the Bricks theme also has the inbuilt page builder, I'm able to set the default styling for the page builder elements. And why this is so good is that I'm able to make sure that my header, my footer, all my theme elements, as well as all my page elements look the same across every page of my website. But let's keep going, and then I'll show you why this is so good. So now that I've set the defaults for this, let's just say we're building this page, okay, and I add this section here, and then I want to go ahead and in this container, I'm going to go add a new element, and I'm going to go heading. So I'll add that, and then I'm going to go text. I'm going to add some rich text, and then over here, I'm going to add a button, and we'll add a button. So this button here, if we click on this button, by default, it's got the primary style, which is the green. And then let's go into settings, theme settings. So there's our theme. And if we go down to the button, we can see that the primary is green. Now I'm going to save that. Okay, now that's all good to go. Now let's just go ahead and we're going to add some padding here. So I'm going to go up to here and then style, layout, and then let's give this 50 and 50 like that, just so a little bit better for us to go through this tutorial. So there we go there. Now let's say that I want to go ahead and change this button color. So if I have that in multiple places on my page, let's just say I duplicate that and it's like that. Instead of going ahead and changing this button color on the module here, if I have a look, it has the style primary. So I could just go to the settings, theme settings, and then for the element for my style primary, I can just change the color there and it's going to update any instance of any buttons across any page of my website that has that. It's really powerful once you start, using this across like building out lots of pages on your website. It just saves you so much time. Again, I can come into here and let's just say for my primary, I want to have rounded borders. So I could go border and then I could go down to radius 10 and now it's like that. So now that I've gone ahead and I've, used my branding to define the defaults for all the page elements that I have that I'm going to use to build my page, and I've designed, my typography and my link colors and all that sort of stuff. Once I'm happy with that, I just go up to here and I go, I want this to show conditions here for my entire website and save. So now if I go and preview this on the front end, okay, it looks like this. Now if I add a new page, I'm going to say testing global styles and I'll click publish, and then edit with Brick. Now I'm in the Bricks editor. Now let's go ahead and build this page. So insert layout, I'm going to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some more elements in here. So we might add some text and we'll add a button like that. And we're going to give this some padding. So we'll give this, let's just say 50 top and bottom again, like that. So let's just say we're happy with that. Now I'm going ahead and I'm designing all my pages, and this button here by default is getting, if we go back to content, it's getting this primary. So anytime I drag a button module into the page, it has the primary style setting set. So I've gone ahead and designed those pages. And let's just say you're doing this and your client says they want to update their brand colors. So the way that you could do that is you'd go to settings and then theme styles, and then you could go down and find buttons. And then for the primary, let's just say that they've changed it to a different color. Let's just say they've changed it to like a really light blue. And then we need to make the text black now. So we have that contrast like that. So if we click save, that's been updated for the global style that is affecting every page on our website. So if we go back to the other page that we were building, so here you can see it's already taken effect. That's another feature that Bricks has that we're going to get into later on. Bricks can work with all your active tabs that you have open when you're building your pages. When you make an update to one tab, it automatically updates all the tabs that you have open. It's a really cool feature, but we'll get into that a bit later. Let's go ahead and go back to here. So you can see this button now. If we go to the button primary, it's updated that blue color. And if we go back to here, so settings, theme styles, let's just say we want to get rid of this rounded border. So primary, I'm just going to click to exit that. That's off. And without saving, if we go back here, see the rounded corners is off our second page here. It's really cool. But that's how you set your styling. Now, to tie this back to Bricks Builder being a theme and not a plugin, the power of this is that we're building our theme, so our header and our footer and our content areas and our page templates. Under here, theme settings, we're setting all our different styling for everything that's going to be put into our website. And then if we ever want to update it, we just update it here and it reflects on all our pages. So it just makes you, as somebody that's building websites, you can do it faster from like a web development perspective. And you can also make sure that everything matches because your page builder elements are controlled by your theme because it's the same thing. So I quickly want to go into my actual website, wagepirate.com, and just show you how I've gone ahead and set up my 3 different button styles and then how I use that inside Bricks Builder to build my pages. So when I'm going out and I'm building this website here, I've made the rule for my branding where when I have a row that I need to make it stand out, I set a black background with maybe an image in the background like this, or it might just be a blank black background. Now, whenever I set a row to have the black background, the buttons inside that, I set them to have the white background with the purple text. So it's just a design rule that I set for myself. So when I'm building my pages, I just adhere to that so it all matches throughout my website. Now, the second rule that I use is if we go down, when I'm designing with a white background and just the normal buttons throughout my website, I want to have a purple background with the white text. Again, that's rule number 2, and I adhere to that. Now, the third rule is the rarer style of button, and I only reserve this for call to action buttons that I really need to stick out. So on one page, I could have many rows with a black background, and they're all going to have the button with the white, but then that one button that I really want to make it stand out, I'll set it to have the blue background with the black text. So I've set up those 3 design rules, and so what I do is then I go into Brick Builder and set those rules for the buttons or the styles of the buttons. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So if we go up and I go edit with Bricks to edit with Bricks Builder and launch the Bricks Builder. So now we're in here. I'll just go out to settings, theme styles, and then I'll go down to element button. And then you can see I've set up these buttons here. So by default, if you drag a button into the page, so we'll go ahead and do that. So let's go and add one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click into this container. We're going to go add. We're going to add a new button element and click to add it in there. So that's it there. So whenever you drag an element, a button element into the page, the style gets set as primary by default. Now it's a little bit confusing because if you exit out of that, the style is none and it's a purple background. And if I go to settings, theme settings, and then go down to button, the default styling is this purple. So you'd think that when you drag a button into the page, it would get the default styling, but maybe I'm missing something, but it's just something to get used to. But when you drag a button into the page, it actually gets the primary color, which I guess makes sense, but the default is a little bit misleading. So if we go back and we click on this button to edit it, and we go back to what it was when I dragged it into the page, which is going to be the primary. So in my head, I want to make this row stand out. I make the background black, and then I drag a button into there, and I know the row has a black background. I'm going to set it to primary. So that's the rule that I use. Now, when I'm building this section on my pages with the white background, if we click into here, we just go down. So this container here, let's just add a new button into here. So I'll go add, and I'll go button, and I'll click to add it. There's the second button over there. So again, it's got that default styling. So if I click this X over here, that goes to default. And now it's got that purple styling. Again, settings, theme styles, and then button. It's the default styling here. Now the third styling, if we click to edit this button here, let's just say that I really want this button to stand out. Then I'd put it on a black background, and then I would change its style. I'd come down here to click secondary, and now it gets that blue style. And then at any time, if I ever want to update my branding, all I have to do is go settings and then theme styles and come down to buttons here, and then I can change it here. So I could change this to maybe a red like that. And now if we go down all my buttons with that style none, again, if we click back into this button, has style none, any buttons with that applied update red, and that's across my entire website. And you can see how powerful this is if we go to settings and then we go to theme styles and then we go to button and we scroll down. This header up here has the white button, and this down here has the white button, which is the style primary. Let's just say we want to update that and make it a very soft pink. If I click on this, you can see that it's updated up here and also down there. We also have a border on it. So if I go here and I click to update the border color like that, now we've updated all the buttons in our header, all the buttons in our footer, everywhere throughout our website. Now, if we compare how easy that was to update our branding here across our entire website with something like Astra and Beaver Builder. So here we are on a website that uses Astra and Beaver Builder. So let's go ahead and we're going to add a new page, and I'm just going to call this test Beaver, and I'm going to launch Beaver Builder here to edit the content area. So now we're in here, and let's go ahead and add a button module into the page like that. And I'm just going to leave the styling as it is for now, but I'm going to click save. So there's our button, and we'll go done and publish. Now let's go ahead and customize our website. So now we're in the editor for the Astra theme, and let's go to global and then buttons, and let's change our buttons. So we're going to make them this round, and we're going to make the text. We're going to make the text a white color, and we'll make the background color let's just say a purple color like that. So we'll save our buttons using those settings. Let's go up to here, and we're going to go up, and then we're going to go down to the header builder, and then let's go ahead and build this, and we're going to add a button into here. So let's go add, and we're going to find the button, and then we're going to click on the button, and we're just going to leave it like so, and then I'll click publish, and you see our buttons sort of starting to take effect. If we go back and then go global and buttons, we have to click that we want it to be like this. So now it's taken this styling and it's in our header. So we'll publish and exit out of this. So if we break down what's happened here, our Astra theme has gone ahead and customized the style of our button up here, but then Beaver Builder only builds the content area on this website, and Astra doesn't talk to the button modules in Beaver Builder because they're separate. So to go ahead and make this button module match the styling of the Astra theme settings, we would need to go and edit this button. And I can't actually remember how, if you can set a default style for all the buttons that you use using Beaver Builder, or because I've been using Ultimate add-ons for Beaver Builder for so long, but you can see the problem here, or not the problem, but it's just not optimized, because even if we go in and, set our Astra theme styles for the button up here, we would need to go in and edit this button here and then click and then edit the style here. And we would need to do that for every button in our website. Alternatively, Alternatively, we could install something like Ultimate Add-ons for Beaver Builder. But then if we do that, then that CSS styling is going to be overwriting this CSS styling here. So it just gets very complex. It's not neat and tidy. And again, this is a prime example of why it just makes so much sense to have bricks control the entire part of your website. The page builder element that you're using to build all your content, using it to build your entire theme, your header, your footer, having it all built inside bricks, and then being able to customize everything using the theme styles. So a feature that I really like in Bricks Builder and I didn't have in Beaver Builder is that I can go out and add CSS classes that I can use throughout my entire website with bricks. Then after I create that CSS class, I can use the user interface to apply CSS rules and styling for that CSS class. And then when I'm building my pages, I can select on an element and just assign it that CSS class, and it gets the styling of that CSS class. So if that's confusing, I promise it's very, very easy to understand, and it's going to save you so much time and just allow you to do a lot of stuff without having to write any code. I'm going to show you one CSS class that I've used on my website and how I've used it, and then we're going to go to a demo website and recreate it. So here I am on the homepage, and you can see I have my call to actions here down the bottom where I link people to my recommended WordPress plugins. I recommend them to my in-depth guides, and then I also link to my blog posts. So each one is in its white box that has rounded corners and a drop shadow. So obviously if I am creating a box here and I want that styling to be here, and then I want the styling to be there as well and there as well, the easiest way to do that is to create a CSS class, add rules to that CSS class or styling to that CSS class, and then apply that CSS class to each of these rows here. So if we go up, another instance of where I've used that is pretty much all over my website. If I open up my list of product reviews here for this archive page here for a custom post type, the grid items have that white box effect as well, that CSS class. If I go to my complete guides over here and go down, these also have that white box effect there. If I go to my blog page here and scroll down, the loop items have that white box. And if we go to my list of online courses and go down, they also have the white box effect. So it's all over my website, but the best thing is I didn't have to write any code to do that. All the parts across my website look identical. And if I ever want to update the look of this white box, I can do it in one place and it will update everywhere on my website. So actually, the way that I think that we can best go through this is to go to my staging website. So my main website, wagepirate.com, I have a clone of it on staging.wagepirate.com. So this is that site. And what we're going to do is we're going to delete the class and then rebuild it again and then apply it throughout my website. So here we are on the staging website, and I'm going to go edit with bricks. And now I'm in the bricks builder. And if we go down, we can click on this box here. If we go down, there it is in the tree. And you can see over here, active classes is 3. So I have created 3 CSS classes in bricks, and this particular container here has 3 of them applied. And if I click into this, you can see element classes. So these are the CSS classes that I've created in my website that are actively applied to this container. And then other classes, these are all the other ones that I'm using throughout my website that I've created inside bricks. So here we are, the white box is applied to the element class. So it is applied to here. So if I click here and click remove, that's going to remove this global CSS class from this element here. Now it's not going to delete it out of bricks. Okay. If I wanted to do that, I'd click delete, but this is just going to remove it from this particular element that has it applied. So I'll click X and now that's gone. And now it just has the 2. And if I get rid of these 2 as well, then it's got rid of them as well. Now, if I click back into here and then we go over here, this has 1 active class. And if we click into this, I can see there is that class as well. So what I want to do is let's go ahead and delete this and then recreate it and then apply it throughout my website. So again, we're going to go over to here and click delete and then sure. And now that's deleted. So that is out of the database of bricks. So it's not able to be accessed by any other pages inside Bricks Builder. So it's completely gone. So let's go ahead and recreate it. So I'm going to click on the element that I want to add it to, which will be this first box up here. And then to do it, we're going to click over to here and we're going to enter a CSS class name. Now, I got into the habit of doing a prefix with my site name. I don't really like to do that anymore, so I'll just go white box and I press enter, or you can click the save icon over here, but I'll just press enter. And now that is created. We got that message to send, but it's yellow. So what does the yellow mean in Bricks Builder, the user interface? It means that any styling that we add right now is saving to this CSS class and not to the selected element. So if I click out of this and then click back on the box, you can see that it's it's not yellow. So if I apply any styling over here, that's going to be applying to this element and not the actual CSS class. So to go back and edit the styling for that CSS class, we just click up to here and then we click white box, and now it's yellow again. So now we're adding styles to just this CSS class. So let's go ahead and build this. And actually a better way to do this is let's go to this white box number 2, and I'm going to apply that same CSS class. So this box here that I just selected, it doesn't have any active CSS classes. So they're all in other classes. And if we go down, we can try and look for the white box, which is down here. So I'll click. Now that has it applied. Now the reason that I wanted to do that is so that when I'm adding the styling here, you can see it update both instances of that. So you understand how it's working. Okay, so this is yellow. So under style, and then anything that we add here is saving to the CSS class. So let's change the background color and make it a white like that. And then what I'm going to do is go to border, and then I'm going to go to border, and we're going to add a radius of say 10 pixels. Now we can't see it. You can sort of see it applying there, but we really need to give it a box shadow to make it stand out. So I'm going to click here, 0, 0, 30, 0, and let's make that maybe a soft pink color, or maybe just to make this more obvious, we're going to make it a little bit darker. So maybe something like that. And you can see, because we're editing it to the CSS class, and the CSS class is on both of these containers, it's updating live in the preview here. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and under layout, we can add some padding. So we'll go padding and we'll say 50. And I'm just going to put that all the way around it. So I'll click, and that adds it all top, bottom, left, right. So you can see that's sort of coming together now. So now I just want to add some spacing in between them. So, I could add spacing on this CSS class. So I'd put like 50 there, and it's going to apply like that. It's really up to you and how you want to do it. I don't really want to add the spacing to the class. I'd rather do that on the per element basis, or set up a different class to add the spacing. So I'm going to get rid of that for now, and we're just going to leave it. Now that that is done, you don't need to save it because we're already saving as we go. So the last thing that we need to do is let's get this CSS class that we just created and apply it to the last one here. So we just click on the element, we click over to here, other classes, white box, click, and now it's applied. So now we want to space these out a bit. So let's go ahead and we're going to create a new class. So I'm going to click clear, and this doesn't get rid of it. This just stops us from editing it currently. So I'm going to clear, and now we're back to editing this element, this container. And then if I click back into here, I can create a new one, and I'm just going to say spacing top and press enter. Now let's go under layout, and I'm just going to add some spacing top, and we're going to add say 45 pixels. I like my things spaced out, quite a bit, and we're going to leave that like that. And then we can click back into the white box, and then we could go and get out of this. And then we want to apply that one that we just did, which is the spacing top. And now that's applied. And again, we can do that to this element here. So click, get rid of that. And I'm going to go spacing top like that. And then that's good to go. So we could go ahead and save that, and then we can preview that. So we'll go preview on front end. And if we scroll down, there is our change all ready to go. And if we right click and go inspect element, and we have a look, so white box, there's a CSS class. And if we go down, we can see our white box class, it has all the settings that we just set for it. So that is all set up. Now what we can do is we can go and add that to another page. So let's go ahead and go to our blog page over here, and see we've lost the styling there because I deleted the class. Let's go edit with bricks, and then we're going to click on the loop item, and we're going to cover query loops and everything in one of the upcoming sections in this video. So stick around for that. But for now, we're going to select the loop item, and then we're going to go up here, and we're going to apply the white box class. And now that should actually get applied to all of them. And as you can see, that has applied. So the last thing that we need to do probably for this page is just to add some spacing to the loop item, which would be here. So we could go style, layout, and maybe we just want to add 30 pixels there. So that looked good. And then we'll go ahead and click save, and then we can preview on the front end. And now that is all set up like that. So the next thing that we need to do is go to the other pages. So we'll go to all my WordPress guides, go down again, lost the styling, edit with bricks, and then go down. And then we're going to click on the container, and then we're going to go up here and go white box. And then down here, I'm going to go up here and go white box as well. Now this is really good because I can realize that I've made an error, and I want to go through how I managed to do it, and just to let you know to watch out for this so you don't make this mistake. So you can see that I just applied this white box CSS class to this here, but it's added the spacing here. So if I go here, it's yellow, so we know that we're editing the CSS class and I go to style, see this yellow dot here, it means there's a setting active here. And if I click into layout, you can see that I incorrectly set the margin top 30 for this class. So we don't want that. We want to get rid of that. So now that's gone. But again, that spacing is still there. So what's going on there? So now we start troubleshooting. So let's go ahead and click X to stop editing that CSS class. And we can see the yellow dot here. So there's active styling on the local container element here. So if I click into here, we can see there is a margin there. So we want to get rid of that. And now that's gone. And then like the other ones, white box, we want to come back here and add the spacing top one there. And that is good to go. So we click save, preview, and then on the front end, and now we're done. Now, because we had to go ahead and edit that white box because we accidentally added the margin top there, we want to go back and view the other page, which was the blog here. So if we go back here, you can see that that was where I made the error. So let's go back and edit with bricks. And then here, when we're editing the loop item, now that I know that I'm not editing a class, I'm editing this local element, this container, I can go style, layout, and then I'll add the, I think it was 30 pixels there or 25 like that. And then we'll save, preview, and then preview on front end. And if we go down, we can see that that's all working. So in case you're newish to CSS or this doesn't quite make sense to why you'd want to go and do this and the benefits of doing it this way, the massive benefit is we can go in at any time and just update the styling for each of those classes, and it updates across our entire website. So if I go back into here and I go edit with bricks, and then I click on this post element here, this loop item, and I go up to here and I click to edit the white box. And then I say, you know what? I'm getting a little bit over these rounded corners. I want to get rid of them. So I'm still editing this white box, and then I could go to style, border, and then I could go to border, and then I could get rid of this radius there. And then I could go and actually, let's do another change. So the box shadow. So I'll go box shadow, and let's just say, you know, this is a little bit too bright for us. Maybe we want to push it down a bit to something a little bit more subtle like that, or a blue background. That's a little bit in your face. I don't know if we'd run with that, but let's just go to this one here, and then we'll go done, and then preview, and then preview on the front end. And now it's a little bit more subtle. And because we set those settings on the CSS class, if we go back to our home page and go down, you can see the rounded corners are gone, and we have that color changed to the drop shadow. That's all good. If we go here, our courses go down, that's updated as well. So that's a big benefit of doing this. Massive time saver, and it allows all the content on your pages to match perfectly using the CSS. So in Bricks Builder, I like their approach to how you go and set your hover states for all the different elements on your page. So firstly, I want to show you how you would do this with Beaver Builder, and then I want to show you how to do it with Bricks Builder, and then I want to compare the two and say why I prefer the Bricks approach. So if we go into this page that I'm editing using Beaver Builder, and we launch Beaver Builder, and then we go up to here and we drag a button module into the page, and I scroll down under the style tab, you can see that the background, I have the background color and then the background hover. So if I go over to here and I make this a red, and then over here I make it a deeper red for the hover, and then up here for the text color, I set the default text to white, and then the hover text could go to like a maybe a really light red like that, just like that. So now I'm setting both the default state and the hover state on the one screen. So if I save that and then done and then publish, now when we hover, we can see that taking effect. But the important thing to note here is that with Beaver Builder, you set the default and the hover state on the same screen. And a lot of times, more often than not, I will set my background hover color as my normal color. Like I just get them mixed up again, because they're both on the same screen here. It can be a little bit confusing and there's room for error. Now, if we go to my other website, which is this one here that I'm editing using Bricks Builder, if we go with edit with bricks, and then I go to settings and then theme styles, and then we go down to the button settings. If we have a look here, here's a button that has a white background and purple text, and that's this here. So the style, primary, white background, click here, purple text. And if we go down a little bit, we have this purple button. And if I go back into my theme styles down here, you can see it's this. So it's my default. It has the purple background and then it has white text. Now to go ahead and change from the default styling to editing the hover styles in Bricks Builder, all you need to do is go up to here and click on this arrow and then click here and then you select hover. And now any changes that you make in the builder are only affecting the hover state. So see how you're separating out the different states in the builder interface by doing this, and it just makes so much more sense than the Beaver Builder approach, and there's less room for error, because if you know you want to be editing the hover styling, all you need to do is just look up here and make sure that's selected, and then you can confirm anything you change here is affecting that. And you very fast fast get into the habit of checking this up here. So it just makes a lot more sense logically from a user interface design standpoint to do this and to separate them. So I definitely prefer this approach versus the Beaver Builder. Now, what's really cool is you can actually go one step further than Beaver Builder allows you to do, and you can edit the hover state for all the different elements on your page. So in Beaver Builder, you might edit the hover state for your buttons, and that's using the user interface in the Beaver Builder interface like this. But if you wanted to edit, say, if we want to edit the hover state for this entire row or column, we could go to settings and go down, and for background, there's no way for us to change the background on hover, but you have that ability in Bricks Builder. So if we go over to here, and let's just say we edit this box here and go down, this is our white box. So we could actually make it so that whenever somebody hovers on our white box, it changes the background color, or maybe the drop shadow goes a little bit darker. So to do that, let's click on our white box, and I'm actually going to edit our CSS class for the white box so it applies to everywhere in our website. So clicking on this, I'm going to go up to here and I'm going to select our white box class, which is here because it's applied to the element. Again, we have two up here. So if we click, there's two classes here, spacing top and white box. So let's click to edit our white box. And then I'm going to click up on this arrow up here and I'm going to select the hover state. Now we're selecting the hover state for the white box. And now let's go to style and let's go down to our border and then let's go box shadow. And then here I'm going to do 0, 0, 30, 0. And now let's make this a stronger purple color. So maybe like that. Maybe that's a little bit too intense, but let's drop it back to maybe something like that. And then let's click save. So now if we go preview and then preview this on the front end and scroll down, now when we hover on this, see how it goes the darker color, and then this one darker color, darker. And then if we go anywhere in our website that we've applied that to, so let's go here to all my reviews and go there, that lights up, that lights up, that lights up, that lights up. The way that Bricks Builder works and the ability for you to customize the hover state of any elements on your website just make this a completely different user experience, and it allows you to do different designs that weren't possible in Beaver Builder. And again, this is all without writing code. So there was a big difference when I swapped from Beaver Builder over to Bricks Builder, and that's the fact that Bricks Builder uses something called Flexbox to lay out its pages. So if you go to Google and you type in Flexbox CSS and you click this first link here, you'll go to this website here and it will explain more about, what it is and how it works. But I went from never having used Flexbox before because Beaver Builder didn't use it to building my entire website using it. And it really was a bit weird at first to build my pages using it, but I got the hang of it quite fast. And I feel like it's actually not that hard once you get going. So what I want to do in this section here is just show you how you use Flexbox to build your pages inside Bricks Builder to give you a head start if you've never used it before. And if you have used it, show you how it works inside Bricks Builder. And along the way, I'll show you, the pages that we use with Bricks Builder. We'll rebuild it quickly using Beaver Builder. And in doing so, we'll be able to see the benefits of using Flexbox and, why Bricks Builder chose to go that way. So let's head over to my website here, which is a demo website that I've set up, and it only has Beaver Builder plugins installed. So if we go to appearance and then go down to themes, you can see I have the Beaver Builder child theme here. And then if we go to plugins, we have the Beaver Builder plugin and Beaver Themer. So let's go ahead and let's actually go to pages and we'll click add new. And then here we're going to launch with Beaver Builder. And then I'm going to get out of that. And so let's say we want to create a row. So I'm going to get a row and I'm going to drag 4 columns in. And then I want to have an image in here. So we're going to go up to modules and we're going to drag in, or even text. Let's just add text in here. So we'll add text in this column here. So I'm just going to paste some dummy text and click save. And then in here as well, let's go and we're going to write text 1 like that. And I'll just give that bold. So we'll save. And then we're going to duplicate this. And then we're going to drag this into this column. And then here, I'm going to update this to text 2 and save. So now we have our 2 columns of text. So if we go and just quickly edit this row, and we're going to open this up a little bit so we have a bit more room. And then let's just say we want to make this full width like that. And then we're going to give it a background. Let's just give it a background color. And we're going to do, say like a yellow color, and we'll click save. So it's like that. So done and publish. So the way that we did that, if we view the source code, we went through up here. there. So you can see we have our 4 columns here, column 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then they're all 25%. And then these 2 central columns have the text in there. So what were we aiming to achieve with this layout? It was to have 2 columns of text in the middle, taking up 25% each and centered. And to do that using Beaver Builder, we actually had to create these 2 columns here with nothing in it that were 25% to then be able to center these. So the downside of doing this is obviously we have added this HTML code to the page to be able to lay out our content in the format that we want. And we don't really want to be adding random HTML onto the page just to make our page styling look how we want it to. It just doesn't make sense, does it? So the way that would be best to do this is to just not have these 2 columns here, okay? Because again, they're just there for layout purposes, and then somehow just have these 2 columns, but lay them out like this. And that's what Flexbox allows us to do in Bricks Builder. So let's head over to our Bricks Builder website. Which we're going to do here. This is just my staging website for Wage Pirate. And we're going to go to pages and we're going to click add new. And then I'm just going to call this 2 columns just for this. So I'm going to go publish. Now that's saved. And then I'm going to edit with Bricks Builder. So edit with Brick. And now I'm in here. So this is our content area that we're creating for the page. Let's go ahead and we're going to insert a layout and we're going to do the 4 columns, which is this one here. So now we have a container and then a column or a container inside it. So 1 container with 4 containers each side. Now, if we get this container here, let's give it a background. So let's go ahead and go style, and then we're going to go to background colors. I'm just going to make it that same sort of yellow color like so. So notice how it's not stretching the full width of the page, whereas our Beaver Builder one over here is. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to click on this, and then we're going to go to content, and then we're going to stretch this. Now this is stretched 100%. Our 4 columns inside that are stretching 100%. We need to bring them back in. So the way that we can do that is you could just go over to here, and then Bricks has this ability to wrap. So we're going to wrap it. Then we can drag the other columns back into there. And then this on the parent here, we just center the content in between like that. So now we have this here with the yellow background. Then over here, this is like our wrapper. So it pulls the content in that. And then we have col 1, col 2, col 3, and col 4. And then inside this column here, let's go ahead and add, and we're going to add some text. So basic text. And I'm just going to go over here and quickly copy this text from here, and we're going to paste it into here. So you just double click like that. And then I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to drag that down to the middle column, and we're just going to paste that into there and call this text 2. Okay. So this format here is what we have inside Beaver Builder. So 4 columns with text in the 2 centrals. So here we have our 4 columns here, and then we have text in the middle. So this would be the equivalent of rebuilding that Beaver Builder HTML structure inside Bricks. But the good thing about Bricks and its ability to use Flexbox is that we can delete these 2 columns here. So we'll delete that out one there and that one there, right? But then how do we go and position them next to each other in the center of the page and still have that spacing on the side? So if we go over and we can just drag this text up and drag this text up as well, and then delete these 2 columns. So now we've really minimized that HTML. Now, if we click on this container here, we can put the elements inside it next to each other. So if I click on that, now they're next to each other. And then all we need to do is give these a width. So we'll click on the text, style, and then we're going to go to layout. And this is going to be 25%. Enter. That's a little tip. Instead of writing, 25 and then selecting the percent there, you can write that the percent pixels in there and press enter, and then it autofills there. Now we have our 2 text 25%. Now all we need to do is center them. So if we click back up to here, go to content, and then here we click align center, and now these are aligned center. So we'll save. So if we compare what we have now, I'll just go preview, and I'm just going to preview this on the front end. So this here is pretty much the same as the layout here in Beaver Builder. The text is just a bit smaller. That's just why it looks a little bit different. But in terms of the HTML page structure, if we look at the code now, like so we can see that this here So this is our container that has the yellow background going 100% width. Then we have the next container inside there that's pulling everything in to be with our content width, which is set at 1200 pixels right now. And then here we have our 2 columns here, and then inside there is the content of that. So comparing this with Beaver Builder, if we go back to Beaver Builder and we have a look at the code here and we go in spec and we just pull this up and up like that, we have this div here. It's just, there's nothing in there. It's irrelevant. It really doesn't need to be on the page. It's only there to lay out our page. This one here, again, an empty div. It's only there to lay out our page. Again, it's really irrelevant. We only really need these two. And that's what Bricks Builder and Flexbox has allowed us to do. We only have our 2 columns there with the content in it. And then the Flexbox CSS technology, let's just call it a technology, has allowed us to do that. So we don't have to go and put random HTML on the page to build the layouts that we want. And so again, it's outputting less HTML using Flexbox with Bricks Builder. So I want to show you another way where building a page using Bricks Builder actually generates less HTML than the equivalent using Beaver Builder. So let's go into Beaver Builder. So we're going to edit here, and I'm just going to delete these there, and I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to go ahead and add a column. So we'll go here, we'll go rows, drag a column in, and we're going to just add it in there. Okay, so we have 4 columns, 25% each. Now I'm just going to duplicate this. I'm going to move it over there, duplicate that, move it over there, duplicate that, move it over there. Okay, so we have 4 different columns here just with an image in there. So if we go done and then publish, so we can have a look at the HTML. Okay, so there is our column there, here, there. So we have our container here, and then we have 1 column, 2 column, 3 columns, and 4 columns. And then in each column is this div here that has another div here, which has another div there, and then another div, and then a div, and then the image. Okay, a lot of divs, a lot of extra HTML on the page. So let's go ahead and recreate that in Bricks Builder. And then let's go ahead and click here, insert layout, full width section. And then let's give this a background color with that yellow like this. Okay. And then in here, so we have the container that goes 100% with the yellow background, this one that pulls it in. And again, this one here is centered. If we click here and go to content, it's centered over here. And then let's go ahead and add 4 images into here. So we'll go image, go click there. Now I'm just going to quickly choose this image here. So I'm going to choose that and click insert. And then I'm going to make this 25%. So I'm going to go here. So style, layout, width, 25% like that. And then let's go ahead and just duplicate this. Okay, like that. So we have 4 images there. And then we click on this. Again, we click on the parent to then define how the children are laid out. So I'm going to go back to content. And we're going to sit them next to each other. And because they're 25% sat next to each other, this is our end result. Now let's go ahead and add some spacing in between them. So the way that I've found is easiest is just clicking on the image and just resizing it. So we could go say like 23% and click here, 23, here, 23, and then here, 23, like that. And then I just click back on this container and go content, and we can go to space between. Okay, and now they're quite evenly spaced out. That's one way to do it. You can do it many different ways. You can add margins to these and so on. But let's just sit with that for now. And then let's go ahead and just save this. And then we're going to go preview mode, and we're going to view on front end. Okay, so here are our 4 images, and then let's go ahead and inspect, and then let's see what's going on here. So we have our yellow. Okay, so this is the one that's stretched. So this is our yellow background going 100% width. And then we have the container here that's pulling everything in. Again, if I click on that, you can see it's just pulling it in to 1200 pixels. And then we have an image, an image, an image, and an image. So we have our yellow div, a wrap div, and then we have our 4 images. So if we go back to our Beaver Builder website and compare that, if we have a look here, we have our row that goes 100%. And then if I open that up, then we have this wrap in there. Okay, so we don't have that in Bricks Builder. So this is our first extra div. And then we have this div here that pulls it in. So we do have that equivalent in Bricks Builder. Then we have another div here. Then we have a div here. And then if we have a look, another div. And then we have our another div. And then we go into this. And then this is our 6th div. And then 7 divs. And then 8 divs. And then we finally get to the image. So we have 8 extra divs to lay out just this image here. But then you'd have have an extra 8 divs or 6 divs, an extra 6 divs for each of these. So it's like 24 extra divs to do a 4-column layout with 4 images. So you can see how much extra HTML it takes to build a page using Beaver Builder than the equivalent page using Bricks Builder and Flexbox. And again, less HTML that's rendering on the page is obviously better. It's less code for the browser to go through to render the page. And just coming back to Bricks Builder, if we go back to the builder, one thing that I really like about Bricks Builder and Flexbox, and I mentioned this before, is that I find it easier to do my layouts. So here, when I'm designing this, you saw before where I just did them spaced between. So what this does is it just gets the first item, aligns it over here, the last item aligns it over there, and then just does its own magic and just, positions the other ones in between. So it uses its own logic, Flexbox, to build your pages, and it just means you're defining less things yourself. I'm basically saying, I just want to make sure the left and right are sat flush, with my page, and then just position everything in between, and you calculate it and do your own things. So it's less me defining and more just the browser doing its own magic. And that's what I'm finding with Flexbox. It just does more for you and just takes less work, less effort on your behalf. So the next thing that I want to point out with Flexbox is that when I was in Beaver Builder, I got really fast at building my pages using that. Bricks Builder that uses Flexbox, I had to learn how to use Flexbox to build my pages. So to go ahead and rebuild my Beaver Builder website with Bricks Builder, it did, I was slow out the gates. I had to learn how Flexbox worked before I could then learn how the Bricks Builder interface worked. But I'll tell you what, so the first, couple of, maybe an hour, it took me a little bit to get used to it. After that, I was, moving really, really fast. So even if it's new and you've never used Flexbox, it's actually not very difficult. And I'm going to give you some tips now that I've learned. Again, I've only been using Flexbox for about a month now, because that's, about the time that I've been using Bricks Builder. But, whatever tips I can share, hopefully it can speed up your process and it makes the next little bit worth it for you. So let's go back to here. I'm going to show you how to do some things inside Bricks Builder using Flexbox. So let's go ahead and let's just delete our text here. Or actually, let's leave our text here. And let's just say, how would we add a button under this text? So firstly, I'm going to go and just reduce the amount of text here, just so it's a bit easy to work with in this tutorial. So I'm just going to quickly update that like that. How would we add a button under here? So if we're over to here and we go up to elements, we type in button and we click add, that button's there. Now it's over here. So the way that you do Flexbox is that you click on the parent, and then the ways that you click the alignments over here, this isn't aligning the actual parent item, it's aligning the items inside the child item. So if I click on this one here, which is the container that's pulling everything in, and I go to start, it shifts all these child items over to the left, center, and if I go space between, now it's, spaced them out evenly, and the ends of the left and the right modules are aligning to the ends. I use this a lot when I'm doing my designs, this setting here. You can do space around, so it just evenly pads them all out, and then you can do space evenly as well. Again, this is one that I use quite often myself, but let's go ahead and keep it center. So how would we move that button into there if we know it's trying to put all the child items next to each other and lay them out with some space on the side? So we need to actually wrap this. So we'll go wrap container and then drag the button into here. And then this basic text, if we go back, this had a width on it. We want to get rid of that. So we want this to take up the full width of this container. Now this container here, we just need to give this a width. So 25% like that. And then we can go down here and we can give this, 15 pixels margins, 20 pixels margins like that. So if we have a look what we've done, you click on the parent and then under the content tab, this is the setting for the child items. So we're making them sit next to each other. And then for each of these, we set their width be 25 and 25 like that. If we go back to the parent and the content, we're sitting next to each other. They have 25% width and we're centering them in the center. So 25%, 25%. And then the items inside this container, this one is 100% and 100% of this container. So that's how we were able to sit the button inside next to that text there. So from doing that, what can we take away is that you click on a parent to lay out how you want the children inside. It's not you you don't click a child item and then specify how you want it to be laid out. It is a little bit of a different way of thinking, but I will say this, using Flexbox now over the last month, I can build my layouts faster than I could in something like Beaver Builder. And again, it produces less HTML code in some cases. Now, another feature that I found myself using quite a bit with Flexbox and Bricks Builder, and also another thing that allows you to change your layouts and do it in a way that produces less HTML code, is a setting called order. And what order does is it allows you to change the order that your modules appear on your page on the different resolutions. So for example, if we go up to our container here and we add an image like this and we click add, right, our image is going to go down here. So I'll click and I'm just going to choose an image from this website. So we'll go with this here and we'll click enter. And then I'm actually just going to drag this up here and we're going to give this a width as well of 25%. Now, just to make this look a little bit neater, let's go ahead and add some spacing around these. So let's go up here and then I'm just going to go, let's go space evenly. Okay, so that looks a lot better. So let's go ahead and change the order of these. So I feel like on mobile, I probably want to have text 1 and then I want to have this image here and then text 2 and then the call to action. So how would I go and do that only for the mobile portrait? So I'll click on this breakpoint up here. Okay, and then I need to set these to 100%. So I'm going to click on the image style and I'm going to make this 100% like that. And then this one as well. So 100%. And then this one, I'm going to make 100% as well. Okay, like that. Now I might add some margin tops. I'm going to add 30 there, 30 there, just to space them out a little bit. It's looking a little bit neater on the mobile. So now what we want to do is we want to get this image and we want to move it in between here. So how do we do that? It's very easy with this order function. So we click on our image and then under layout, we can go down and find positioning order. And this is going to be second. And then our text here, this is going to be order 1. And then this text with the button, I'm going to make it order 3. I'm going to search for this setting here and I'm going to make that 3. So let's have a look at what we've done. We got text 1. Now we have our image and then we have text 2 with the button and we can click on our image here and let's go and get rid of that. We're just going to add the 30 margin on top. And then this first one, we can probably get rid of it there. So we'll just set that to 0 at this breakpoint. So if we have a look at what we've done here. So on mobile, image, text 1, text 2, same, like that. And then just for the mobile, we have text 1, image, and then text 2 with the button. Now I'll save that. Now, if we go ahead and preview and then preview on the front end. So there it is. If we have a look at the source code, okay, so we can see we have, so this is our yellow background that stretches the full width. Again, it says stretch here. Then we have this container that pulls our content in to the 1200 pixels. And then we have an image. Then we have our div with our text in there. And then we have our div with our text in there as well. So, the div with that has our text and then our button element. Yeah, so looking again at, we go back here, looking at this tree there is exactly what's output here. There's no extra HTML. But if we have a look here and we drag this in like that, and then bam, text, image, text. If we have a look at the code, if I'll go back here, so let's go inspect and we'll go up. So we can see that we still have this container. Then the image is still first, then the text, and then the text. But because we've used that order feature that is available using Flexbox, the HTML is exactly the same, but the browser has changed the order of the items on our screen. So why is this so good? Is that if you think about how you would have to do this with something like Beaver Builder, is you'd have to do the following. Let's go ahead and set it up. So here we are in Beaver Builder and let's go edit with Beaver Builder. And there it is there. So we're going to go ahead and add an image. So we'll get the photo module. I'll drag it in here. I'm going to select a photo, media library, and I'm going to select, say, this blue one, and we'll click select photo and save. And then let's get rid of this column here. So there's the layout. So if we want to have this image show in the middle there, like we just did with Bricks Builder, this is how we would probably go ahead and do something like that. So inside Beaver Builder, if we have a look at columns and we go to column settings, we can see stacking order, change the order of of columns when they're stacked for devices. So if we go reversed and we go save, now if we go and drag this in, so there, now it's reversed. So the image is last. So text 2, text 1, that. So it's gone from here, here, and there. Okay, so we have that ability in Beaver Builder to flip them, but we can't change their order as we would like on a per column basis. Now, the way that would go ahead and do that using Beaver Builder is we could duplicate this image here, and then we would need to drag that under here. And then this image here, we would say display, and it would be breakpoint, and it'd be large and medium devices, and save. And then this image down here would go display, would go small devices only, and save. And then we go done and publish. Okay, so we have this working, and if we pull it in, okay, we still achieve the same thing. But if we have a look at the HTML and we just pull this up, so we have this column here, then this one, and then that one. So in this column, if we have a look at the modules, we still have this text module and then this photo module that's outputting HTML on the page, but we're just using CSS to not output it. So again, we're adding unnecessary HTML to the page just to get the layout that we want, but we really don't need to do that. And finally, we don't have to do that when we use Bricks Builder and Flex Builder because of how I showed you before using that order feature. Now, the next thing that I want to show you with Flexbox is on my website. So if we go to WordPress tutorials, so this is my blog page, and you can see that each blog post is in its own sort of div, what's a container. It has this background, drop shadow, white background, and they're all equal height in the rows. Now, you can do that, using CSS, using older sort of ways to build pages, but with Flexbox, it's very easy. So if we go up to here and we go to edit with brick, and then we go down, this here, if we click on this, this is my loop item, and you can see I'm stretching the height of it to be equal to the others. So if I uncheck that, see how it's not stretching the height anymore, and if I click that, it's making them equal heights. So again, another benefit of Flexbox. It just, the things that I wanted to do when I was building my website that I had built using Beaver Builder just seemed to be a lot easier using Flexbox inside Bricks Builder. So just to summarize Flexbox, I'm new to this, so don't take me as like an expert of this. Again, I've only been using it for a month, but I've found that using Flexbox has allowed me to do advanced things like change the order of items on mobile devices, build, more, not more complex layouts, but build the layouts that I want to build in a way that produces less HTML to render that page and faster. Like after doing this, when I first started, like I said before, it took me a little bit to get used to it. But at the end, I'm building pages faster now in Bricks Builder than I could inside Beaver Builder. So I definitely recommend, if this is something that maybe you're just not sure of how to use it, don't let it hold you back. It's actually quite easy once you jump in and give it a go. So the next feature that I want to cover here in this video is the ability to copy and paste between different tabs. Now, you might think I'm crazy, but there isn't a way, as far as I know, in Beaver Builder to copy and paste from one open tab to another. And in Bricks Builder, you can, and I was blown away with it. I think you might be able to do it in Elementor, but just this simple ability to do this has made me build my website so much faster, especially when I was trying to convert my Beaver Builder website over to Bricks Builder. And I'm going to show you where it really came in handy later on. But the ability to do this is a game changer for me, especially for people coming from Beaver Builder. So in Beaver Builder, here we have this design here, and we have these 4 rows. Let's just say I wanted to copy this from our page here and put it into another page. So the way that I would do that is I'd go up to settings and I'd go save as, and I'd usually put the date. So I'd go 2022, and then it would be the 6th, and then it would be the 28th, and then I would be 4 image row yellow background, just something like that. And I click save, and then we'll go done and publish. And then I'll go ahead and go new page like this. And then I'll go launch with Beaver Builder, and that's going to launch in Beaver Builder. And then I'd go rows, and then I'd go over to here to saved rows. There's our saved row. I drag that into the page, and there it is there, done and publish. And now I've copied between the 2 pages. Now in Bricks Builder, to achieve that same thing, let's just say I have this page here and I click edit with bricks, and I want to copy this row from this page to another page. So I would go to pages and I'd create my new page, and I'll just call this copy and paste, and I'm going to publish, and then edit with bricks. So here's my new page, and I can just go to the page I want to copy from, and then I can just click on what I want to copy and click Command C, or I can right click and go to copy, but I'll just go Command C, come back to here, Command V, and now it's pasted into the tab. So there's no saving the rows and inserting it later on. Like, it's so fast. Now, the way that I used this when I was rebuilding my Beaver Builder website in Bricks bricks, if I just quickly save this. So if we go to my main website, wagepirate.com, and we go to dashboard, and then we go down to Woo funnels and funnels, so you can see I have 3 different funnels here. Now, if we open these up in new tabs, so this is just where I send people from my YouTube videos or blog posts. They land on these opt-in pages and they can click to put in their name and email to register for things. So for example, this one here, people can register for my ClickFunnels course, this one here for my how to build a online store course, and so on. So the way that I built these pages is I built it once. So let's just say coming back here, I built this page here, then I would just go edit with bricks, and this would be the page here. So I would just go over here, Command C, and let's just edit this page again. So I'll go edit with bricks, and I'm just going to delete this. I'm not going to save it, but just say we're starting from scratch. I'd go Command V, and then I'd come back to here, copy this second container, Control C, Control V. And now that that's copied and pasted over to my second design, now I can just go and customize, this to whatever I want it to be. So I was using this copy and paste feature a lot when I was converting my Beaver Builder website over to bricks, and it's a massive time saver. Now, another thing with this copy and paste feature is you don't have to copy entire sections or modules. You can just copy the styles if you want. So if I did this down here, so headings, if I duplicate this, and then let's just say this heading, I do the background color to be like a blue for whatever reason. And then this heading, I gave it a 50 pixel margin top. Let's just say I wanted to copy this blue background from here and paste it there. I can just go over to here and go copy styles, and then I can click on the second heading, then I can go paste styles, and it's pasted there. And you can do that between pages as well, not just on this particular page. So you can copy across different tabs, different sections. So both of those are very powerful, and they're going to speed up your web design process a lot. So let's look at how you would go and set up all the different templates inside your Bricks Builder website. So everything from your header to your footer to your single layouts, your archive layouts, how to set different single post type layouts per post type, and so on. So here in our Bricks Builder website, we're going to go up to dashboard, and then we'll go to bricks and then template. So this is where you manage all the different templates inside your website. So if we have a look, we have the title of the template, we have the type, we have the conditions under which this template shows, and so on. I don't really use these here, but we're going to focus mainly on the type and the conditions because these are the most important ones and the ones that you'll be paying attention to the most. So let's go ahead and delete these. We're going to start from scratch. So I'll just move them to trash, and let's go ahead and click add new. So we're going to create a header for our website, and then we're going to over here select for template type header. Now you can see we have footer, single, section, archive, and whatever you select here will come more into play in a second when we start customizing this template using bricks, because based on the selection here, you'll get different elements inside the Bricks Builder. So if I select single here and I'm trying to build a single post template, when I'm in the Bricks Builder, I will get modules in the builder that are related to building your single template. It's going to become more apparent in a second, but for now we're going to choose header. So now let's click publish, and now that's done. So let's click edit with brick, and we could go ahead and build this from scratch. For now, I'm just going to go to templates, community templates, and then I'm just going to choose a template that comes with bricks. So I'm actually going to filter this by the live template. So you can see these are all matching, and we're going to try and find the header, which is here. So the header, so we'll go insert template. Yes, yes, that adds it over there, and we'll click save. Now we also, once we build this template, if we go back to our dashboard and we're here under bricks and templates, we can see there's our header template. The type is header, and it's showing on our entire website. So if we go back here and go to settings and then template settings and then conditions, we can add conditions under which we want this header to show. So on my Wage Pirate website, I'm not outputting this header on my opt-in pages, for example, but I'll show you that in a little bit, but that's where you'd go and do that sort of stuff. Now, because we selected this template type to be header, we have this header section here, and we can choose where we want to show it. So top, left, right, so right, left. So, I just always select top. We could sticky the header, sticky it on scroll, and so on. So you get some options that are specifically shown here for the header, and we're getting this panel here because we selected that it was a type header. So sure, let's do sticky header on scroll, and we'll click save. And now we've done that. So let's go ahead and add a template for our footer. So we'll go up to here to templates, and then we're going to click create template, and then we're going to call this footer, and the template type is going to be footer, and we'll leave that and click create template. And this user interface here is just another way to go, and instead of going to bricks, templates, and clicking add new, and, doing all this sort of stuff and having to leave the builder, this user interface here just allows you to do exactly the same thing without having to leave the builder, because you can build your entire website without leaving the Bricks builder if you use the UI like this. So footer. So if we click create template, so we're still on the header right now. We've just created the footer. So now we need to click to edit it. So let's go ahead and click edit, and that's going to load the builder. And now we're editing the footer. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to choose another template there. So I'll go to templates, and we'll go to community templates, and we're going to go to live, and I'm just going to hover until I find the footer, which is here. See where it says live footer, insert template. Yes. And now that's inserted at the bottom. Now, if I save this and then we go back to my templates and refresh here, you can see the footer and it's showing on the entire website. So by default, if we go settings and then template settings and conditions, we haven't set anything there. So by default, it's outputting on our entire website. And again, we could add conditions here where we only output our footer if the post type is not, sales pages, product pages, and so on. So you can do that. I'm just going to leave that there for now with no conditions. So we'll save that. And let's actually preview our website now. So I'm going to preview this on the front end. So this is our preview. If we go to our homepage, so this is our header we just created. This is the content of the homepage. And then here's that footer. So let's go back here, and we're just going to go back to the builder. So now that we've created the header and the footer, let's go ahead and customize our single post layout. So we could do that again by just going to templates, and then under my templates, we could go create a template, and we'll call this posts, or single post with sidebar, like that. The template type is going to be a single, and I'm just going to click create template, and there it is there. So I'm going to click to edit it, and then this is going to open up Bricks Builder to edit that template. If we go back to our templates and refresh here, you can see single post template, single. Now notice conditions, there's nothing set. So we need to actually specify for this one. So the header and the footer with no conditions set, it outputs on the entire website. For other types of templates, single or archive, you need to specify what post types and so on. So we'll do that in a sec, but let's go back here. Let's go ahead and build this layout. So we're going to go insert layout, and we're going to go ahead and select that option. So let's go ahead and add our primary area and then our sidebar area. So I'm going to click into here, and I'm going to add two containers. So up here, container, we're going to add and then add, and I'm going to call this primary content, and this is going to be sidebar. And then I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to go and lay them out next to each other. Now I'm actually going to set the primary to style, layout, and the width. Let's just make this 70% like that. And then the sidebar is going to be 30% like that. So now that we've done that, we're going to click into the primary, and up here, you can see that because this template type is single in the actual editor, single, we have these modules that are there because we've told Bricks this is a single template, and then it knows to output just the single modules. Now we get all the other page building elements, but these are particular to just the single template that we're building. So here we could go ahead and we're going to add in our post title. We're going to add in some post content, and we might want to add the comments at the end. Now, the way that I've found that my brain works best building with Bricks Builder is to not focus on styling, but I just click on a container like primary, and then I go to the elements tab, and I just click all the elements that I think I want on the page, and then I go and start styling them and so on. I just find my brain works better. Maybe that might be the same way that you might feel you work the best as well with Bricks, but just an idea. Now, let's say with this template, we want to have the post title in its own container that goes the full width of the page, and the background color matches the black, the header up here, and then we have the content under that. So the way that we would do that is we could click to add a new container. So I'll just search for container, and then I'm going to click into here, and we're going to select this there, and I'm just going to drag this up the top, and I'm going to call this post title like that, and then I'm going to drag the post title into that container. So like so, that. Now with the post title container, I'm going to go to style, background, we're going to click over to here, and then there's the color. So if I click on that, it's going to match the header, and then we'll select the post title, we'll go to style, typography, color, and we'll make that white. And I'm going to give this a bit of padding. So I'm going to click back here, there, and the top's going to be say 20, and the bottom will be 20 like that. So I'm pretty happy with that. We'll save. Okay, now coming back down here. So we have our content here, and then then we have the container that pulls it all in. Then we have our primary there, and then we have our sidebar. So that's all looking pretty good. Now with the sidebar, let's just add some elements in there just so this tutorial is a little bit easier to follow along. So content, click over to here, and I'm just going to add this hoodie there like that, and we'll click save. So again, if we come back here and refresh our list of templates, we're not applying this to any post types yet. So we need to go back to our template and go to settings, and we need to go to template settings conditions, and we're going to add a condition, and we're going to show this for all the post types, and we're going to choose post, and then we're going to say save. Now, if I go back to my dashboard and I go to post, okay, and we have one post there. If I view this, this is what it's looking like. So we've got our header up here, we've got our post title there, and then it's looking like that. So we need to add some padding to the content area. Let's go back here, and to this content area, I'm going to go to style, layout, and the padding might be, let's just give it 100 pixels or 50 pixels like that, and we'll click save. And the primary area, the comments, we're probably going to give that 40 pixels margin on top. So go back, refresh, and it's looking like that. Sidebar needs a little bit of spacing, so we'll just click back to the sidebar. We might give this some padding, so we're going to give the padding left, and we'll go say 30 pixels like that. So go back, refresh, and now we've designed our single post layout. So our header, it's fixed on scroll. Our post title is in its own container here, and here we have our post content, and then we have some comments and our sidebar. Now this post content, if we go back to our template here, it's a post content module. This works with Gutenberg. So if we go back to our Hello World blog post and we edit our post, right, and we're in Gutenberg here, and I'm typing, you know, I'm doing a bit of text, and then I add an image here. So we'll select from the media library, and I add that in there, and then I want to add a quote at the end, and we're going to add, you know, this is a quote here, and then after that, I might want to add a list like that, okay, and then we'll click update. Now, if we go to post and we preview this post and have a look, that's outputting our Gutenberg blocks and all that post content in the bricks single template that we just created. So after going out and building all the different templates for the custom post types in wagepirate.com, my blog, I've really found this is a very flexible templating system, and it works really, really well. So if we actually head on over to my blog, so wagepirate.com, and we go to WagePirate and then dashboard, and then we go to bricks and then templates. So these are all the different templates that I've used here in my website. So if we have a look at the type, so I have one header and I have one footer. And if we have a look at the header, I'm putting it on the entire website. Again, this is the conditions column. I'm putting it on my entire website, excluding my opt-in pages, my opt-in confirmation pages, and my sales pages. And these post types are just WooFunnels funnels here. So start your store. If I have a look at that, you can see there's no header output there. And if we have a look and inspect element and go to elements here, you can see that this is actually its own post type that WooFunnels registers. So with my opt-in pages, I don't really need my header. I just want to have the ability for my user to opt in to receive, you know, or get whatever I'm putting on the opt-in page. And so that's why I'm excluding it from these post types here. Now, if we have a look at my footer, I'm outputting it on my entire website, single, so default with sidebar. If we edit this with brick, so you can see how this is set up. So I have my primary post content, again, that block that outputs all my Gutenberg post content. We have my author box, which is just this black box here, and it's just me writing the blog post on my website, so it doesn't need to be anything tricky. So I've just hard coded it here using the builder. So it's, you know, this, it's a container, it's my photo, a subscribe image, so that's just an image. Then over here we have just some text, you know, some text there as well. And then if we have a look, there's the comments module, the sidebar, which is just my bio and so on. So you guys get the idea there. So this one here, if we go to settings and then template settings and then conditions, so I'm showing this for all post types that are my blog posts or product reviews, so all my software reviews. And I'm also applying this, if we go to individual, I'm applying this template to these individual pages on my website, which is how to make money online and my affiliate URLs. So if we go to my website here, if I go to here, which is my list of blog posts, and I click into a blog post like this, so there is that template. So this is my Gutenberg content. And then here's that sidebar. And if we go down to the bottom, down, you can see there's the author box, there's the comments and so on. So this is a single blog post with that template applied. And then if I go to how to make money online, this is a page on my website and I'm applying that same template to the page. And then if I go back to templates, I can see at a glance by going to bricks, templates, go down, this template I'm applying to these post types and these individual pages. So from going out and building my website, converting it from Beaver Builder over to Bricks Builder, just that process, going to bricks and templates and being able to see at a glance where each template is applied to on my website has made managing my website so easy. I've really found this table here, this dashboard table view of my templates and where they're applied throughout my website, so easy to manage all the different things that I'm doing on my website. Now, if we have a look here, I have another single template. I'll close this. I have another single template here. And if we edit this with bricks, this is a very basic template. It's just a container that goes 100% full width. This container here that pulls it in. And then we have my post content as a module that outputs Gutenberg content. And if we go to settings and then template settings and conditions, in here, I'm selecting to apply it to these pages here. So if we go to my website, so click here and go to view on front end. So if we go to privacy policy, okay, that's it. It's a really basic terms of service, affiliate disclaimer, all these really basic pages get that second template. So the pages on my website currently are just using two templates. They're either using this really basic template here, or they're using that template with the sidebar. Okay, so I'm sitting here and editing this, and I just want to clarify that what I'm talking about here, where I have two different templates and one has the sidebar that I just showed you, and the other one is the very simple layout. These two templates that I'm applying are applied to pages and content and post types on my website where I'm using Gutenberg to actually write the content of that post. So that's why, I'm doing these templates, I'm dragging the post content module into the bricks template, and then the Gutenberg content's output wherever that module goes. But that wasn't clear. I don't think I made that clear, because you wouldn't use what I just showed you if you were going to go and build an entire page's content area using Bricks Builder, because you would just create a new page, edit with Bricks Builder, and you would just drag your columns, your sections, and so on, and build the page that way. What I'm specifically talking about here is posts where you're outputting the post content that will be built using Gutenberg. Okay, so I just want to clarify that. Let's get back to the video. Now, what's different, or the way that I've been using Bricks Builder that is not normally how I'd build a website, is that normally what I would do is I'd go to pages and then go to all pages. And then for my affiliate disclaimer, which is this page here, I would usually click to edit this page. And then down here under, I think it might be page attributes, there's a setting to apply a template. So you'd have a drop down and you click here and go, template right sidebar, template full width, whatever it is. So you're editing the page and then applying the template to it on a per page basis. Whereas the way that I'm doing it in Bricks Builder is I'm going to templates and I'm editing that template, and then I'm going to settings, templates, conditions, and I'm choosing what pages I want to apply that template. So it's a different way of thinking, because I'm not editing the content and then applying the template to that content. I'm more so editing the template and then choosing where I want to show that throughout my website. And I've found, from converting my website over the last month, it's just really easy to manage, both in terms of just going in here and selecting what pages I want to apply this simple template to, but then also being able to go into here and just see at a glance, where everything's applying throughout my entire website. Another bonus of this screen is you have all these different custom post types, and you might be wondering which ones you're not outputting your header on. I can just see here my header, it's not outputting on these post types here. So if we have a look at these other two template types that I'm using in my live website, so we have a section and we have an archive. So we'll quickly go through the archive, because we're going to go through it in a lot more information coming up, where I show you how to use the query builder in Bricks. So I'm not going to touch on that too much just here in this section, but if we go edit with Brick, again, because we told Bricks that we're going to design an archive template, we have these elements inside Bricks that are related to the archive. So we have the post title and so on. So I'm building my archive here, obviously an archive is a query of posts in that post type, and then you need to loop through them and output them. And over here, if we have a look at this loop item, you can see the icon here, it says it's a loop. This is going to be my loop item, and then I just go and inside here, I'm adding, this rich text, and it's outputting the post date, my post title, it's outputting the title of that post, that loop item, the excerpt, and the, text here. So read more. If I click here, we can have a dynamic tab. I'm going to come through this later on, but what I want to point out is when I'm building an archive template, it knows that I'm building archive template, and so it gives me these here. And I'm going to show you how to build this loop a little bit later in this video. So the last template type that I want to focus on is this section type. So this is a row. So you might want to design a row and then output it in different parts of your website. So for example, if I have a look at this one here, row general subscribe, if I edit with bricks and we have a look at that. So here is my subscribe row. So it has an image and people can opt in. So this, I have designed this row, and then I can output this in specific parts of my website. So for example, I could go, and if I want to add that on the footer of all of my pages on my website, I could go footer and I could go edit with bricks. And then here, when I'm designing the footer, I could go up here, and template is actually an element. So I could click, and then over here, I could select my row general subscribe. So now that's going to output, and then my footer, and that's going to happen on every page that my footers output. Now, there is a little glitch with like JavaScript stuff when you add a template to the page. I think they're working on it. It's just one bug that I found. But if you save this page and then refresh it like this, so I'll just refresh, you can see it outputs properly there. It's just because the Fluent form here uses JavaScript. I don't know what it is. It's a bug. I think they're aware of it. So it might not be there when you go ahead and do it. But now this template that I've designed, again, this is a section. So this is row general subscribe. So if we go back to my templates here, so row general subscribe, which is a section, right? I'm choosing to output that here, and that's on my footer. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that because that is my live website, and save. But that should give you a really good understanding of how the templating system works inside Bricks Builder. So now let's look at how to go out and use the query loop feature inside of Bricks Builder. So you're going to be using this when you go out and build your blog page. You're going to be using this for any secondary queries that you write in your website. You're going to be using this to lay out your custom post type archive templates and so on. So what I want to do now is go through my actual website and show you how I'm using this feature inside Bricks Builder. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to my staging website, which is a clone of my main website. We're going to delete all these loops that I've done inside Bricks Builder, and then we're going to quickly recreate them all to show you the process that I used to build my website. And in turn, in doing so, you'll be able to learn more about the feature and some of the things that you might need to know to go out and do this yourself. So what we're going to do is go to my website. So here we are, wagepirate.com. So the first loop that I want to have a look at is our blog page. So if I click here and have a look at our blog page, and I right click and go to inspect, you can see that this is in fact my blog page. And this page here, if I go to my dashboard and then we scroll down and we go to settings and then reading, you can see that the post page is set to blog, which is this page here. So if I go ahead and edit with Bricks Builder, I've set this page to be my blog page inside of WordPress's settings. And then over here, I have my loop item, and that also shows here, I have this infinity icon here, which in Bricks Builder allows you to know which container is your loop item. And then I've turned use query loop on here. And then this is going through the main query and outputting my blog post in this grid. Now, we're not going to get too far into this just yet. We are going to go and recreate this in a little bit, but that is one instance of where I've gone and used the query loop feature inside of Bricks Builder to build my blog page. Another way that I'm using this is for a post type archive. So if I go to here and I go to all my reviews and we have a look here, if we right click and go inspect element here, so this is a post type archive, and it's a post type archive for this post type here, WP_product. So what I've actually done is if we go into the dashboard and then we go to Bricks Builder and we go to template, I've gone down, and if we look at post archive, I'm applying this to all my post types. So every post type, all the archives related to all my post types get this template here. And so if I edit with Bricks Builder here and have a look, you can see again, I have that loop item here, and that's turned on for this container. And then everything inside here, well, this itself, this here and everything inside loops. So if I was to go and go style and then change the background color to purple for this item where I have the query loop feature turned on. This is what gets this is a main query because it's a post type archive. It gets the main query, all the posts in the main query, and then it uses this to loop through. But this is another instance of where I'm using this query loop builder. And again, this is using the main query to loop through the items. So I just mentioned that we have the main query. So when this page loads, it's a post type archive. It has the post in the query and it's looping through them here. And if I go through here and have a look, these elements post date. So as it's looping through the main query and it gets that current post, it outputs the post date, outputs the post title, outputs the excerpt, and then it outputs a read more under it. And then it gets the next post item in that main query and it loops through again, laying it out like so. So that's an example of a main query. Now, the alternative to that would be a secondary query or a custom query. So let's just exit out of this and we'll go back to the front end of my website. Now, if I go to plugin reviews and then all my reviews, so this is the post type archive. Again, if we right click and inspect element and here, WP underscore product. So it's the post type archive for that post type. If we go down and click into this Bricks Builder, now we're in a single of that post type there. And if we go down the page a little bit more, I have this here where I say Bricks Builder tutorials and then I loop through and I output blog posts that are related to Bricks Builder. So the main loop here is going to be, the main loop, the post item in the main loop is going to be this Bricks Builder item in the WP underscore product post. So there's just one post in the main query. So we have the main query outputting this content here. And then I have a secondary query where I'm outputting a list of blog posts related to this software. So to see how I'm doing that, if we go up to edit with bricks, we're going to edit the single template for this, or we can go back to our dashboard because this might give you a better idea of it. If we go to bricks and then template, we can see here single WP product. So this is a single template that is applied to this post type here. So if I go edit with Bricks Builder and have a look, so here I'm outputting the post title of the software. So say Bricks Builder here, and then it would output, if I click into here, it's the post content. So whatever I write for that. And then if we go down a little bit, this is where I do my secondary query. So if I click onto this and we go down to here, so it has an infinity sign. So it's a loop here. So if I click on that, I've turned the query loop on there. But instead of using the main query, I'm defining a secondary query. And I do that under this setting here. So I want to loop through all the posts of the post type posts, so my blog posts, and I only want to output them if the taxonomy term for the software taxonomy, the term in there is Bricks Builder in this case. So for this software, I loop through and I want to output all the blog posts that are related to this Bricks Builder software. And that's how I'm doing it there. But this is an example of the main query being the software and then the secondary query being looping through the blog post and outputting them like this. So to give you a better idea of how this all works, let's jump in and just start recreating this. And along the way, it will make a little bit more sense. So I think the first thing that I want to start off with is I want to recreate the post type archive layout that we're going to use as the default layout for our post type archives. So here I am on my staging website. So it's a clone of my live website. And now we have all the data in our database, but I can go ahead and mess things up and it doesn't matter too much. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go to Wage Pirate and then dashboard. And then we're going to go to bricks and then go to templates. And I'm just going to remove this post type archive template. And again, if we edit with bricks, it's this template here. Okay, so that's what we're going to be recreating in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trash that. And then we're going to go to the front end of our website. And then I'm going to go back to my list of products. And you can see there's no styling there. So now we need to go ahead and set this up again. So to do that, let's click add new template. And then I'll call this default post type archive layout like that. And this is going to be the template type archive. And then we'll click publish. And now that's saved. So let's click edit with bricks. And now let's go ahead and recreate this. So here I'm going to insert a layout and we're going to do this here. So we have the full width and then it's pulled in. And this section, I'm going to go style and then background. And then I'm going to give it the background color of white like so. Now next in this container, that's pulled in. Let's go ahead and add another container and we'll click add. And this is going to be our loop item. Now inside this, I'm going to go add and we're going to add, I think I had the date. So it'd be metadata. So you could do that and then you can select there. Something that I've found myself preferring is actually just to go up to here and these elements here, because again, we set the template type for this to be archive. We have archive specific modules here, but more often than not, I'm finding using dynamic data is just a little bit more flexible. So I'll show you what I mean. So instead of clicking post title and that would output the title of the blog post, I would just rather delete that. And then in here, I'm going to add a heading module. So I'll add that. And then if I click to edit this, the content, I'll get rid of that. And then I'll go dynamic data and then post title. It's just a preference. And I've just found myself doing that, a bit more. So here I might make this a H2 and then back on this loop item, I want to actually make this the loop item. So again, this is post type archive. So we're going to have the main query and then it's going to loop through our main query items. So here I'm going to turn this on and this is going to be those items. And you can see it's already starting to output them there. Now here under query, I don't need to specify any settings here. You only really use this for a secondary query. I could be wrong there. Again, I'm not a pro developer here. I'm just somebody building my own websites and sharing what I learned along the way. But I feel like you would only use this setting here if you're building a secondary query, which we're going to look at in a second. So nothing there. Turn this on and now Bricks Builder knows to get the main query and loop through the items and output it here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign here the white box class just to make this a lot more obvious as we're editing. So you can see it's looping through and it's adding the class here. So it's a little bit more obvious. And then under the style tab, I'm going to get rid of this just so I'm not editing this class anymore because I want to edit the actual element. I'm going to go layout and I might add 15 top and bottom just to space them out like that. Looking a bit better. Now in this loop item, I want to go back and I want to add some elements and I'm going to add some rich text like that. And then in here, I'm going to go to content. I'm going to get rid of that and I'm going to add dynamic data post. And then we're going to add the excerpt like that. And then I'm going to go back to style layout and add 15 pixels on top just to space it out a little bit more. Now, if I go back to my main website, this is what we're trying to recreate here. So we're going to have the date up the top as well. So let's do that. And then we'll add the read more. So coming back here, I'm going to add text and I will just add, say, rich text here, drag that up. And then in here, I'm going to go to content, get rid of that. And I'm going to go up here and go post date. And now that's above there. And we'll do the styling in a second. But for now, I just want to get all the content on the page. And then lastly, I'm going to duplicate this. And then over here, this is going to be the read more text like that. And we're going to link this to the post link. So post link. So I'll do that. That's the tag. I'm going to cut it from here, select this, and then I'm going to go to link. I'm going to paste it in there and press apply. Now this is looking a lot better. So let's do a little bit of tweaks to the styling quickly. So up here on the heading, I'm going to go style, layout, and add 5 pixels margin top just to space these out. I'm going to edit this here. Let's actually name these. So this will be date. This will be post title. This will be excerpt, and this will be the read more like that. You just double click to do that. Then the date, I'm going to go to the style tab over here and under typography. So I'm just going to pull this back a little bit to make it a little bit lighter like that. And I think that's pretty good for now. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to put it into the 2 columns. So the way to do that is, again, from what we learned in the Flexbox section, is I'm going to edit the parent and then I'm going to lay out the loop items by editing the parent. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to make the loop items sit next to each other. That's going to go along there. But now I need to go back to the loop item and I need to go to style and then I'm going to go to layout and I'm going to set the width. And I might set this to say 48% like that. And then I need to click back on the container and back here under content, we're going to click wrap and we're going to make them wrap like that. Now with these 2 column layouts, what I'm also choosing is space between. So if I click this, it pulls this one left and then it pulls this one right. And then I just play around with the widths to get this part in between. So if I go back here and then I go to style, I might just increment that to 49 and that's looking pretty neat and tidy. Now the last thing that we want to do is make our posts equal height. So to do that, we're going to click on the container and then over here, we're going to stretch the inner children vertically like that. So now they're equal height. So that's looking good. So let's go save. Okay. And now that's saved. And then let's go back to the dashboard in our website. And then let's go to bricks and then templates. And you can see default post type archive. It's a default to all archives. So if we go back and edit our post type archive, if we go to settings and then template settings and then conditions, we haven't set any conditions there. But because during the creation of this template, the wizard, when we're back here and we went add new, and then we're on this screen here, we selected archive here. By default, when you do that, it will apply it to all of them. And we can confirm that by going back here. We haven't set any conditions and it says all archives. If we only want to apply this layout to one specific post type, we could go add condition, and then I could set the condition here, and I could go show this on the archive, where the archive is the post type archive, and then the post type, I could select it here. So we'll choose WP product like that, and I'll go save changes. And then if we view this on the front end of our website, which is here, if I go back here and I go to all the reviews here, and if we have a look and inspect element, we can see this is the post type archive for that post type, and we have that new layout there, and we can confirm that's taking action. If we go back to our template and we go back to the builder, and let's just say we clicked back here and made these, sit under each other and click save. If we go back here, now they're sat under each other. So we can confirm that is applying. So let's go back here and let's just undo that, because we'll sit them next to each other, and I'll save. But that's how you go out and you would create the post type archive. And that's how on this loop item, we use this use query loop feature. And again, because it's a post type archive, our main query, it loops through the items that already has the query in there, the post items that's going to loop through. So we don't need to set anything here. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and create our blog template. So here on that same staging demo website, if we go down to settings and then reading, you can see that I have no blog page set. And if we go to the front end of our website, and let's just say we go /blog like this, it says there's no page found. So I've removed it and we're going to start from scratch. So the way that you create your blog page is go back to pages, and then we'll click add new. And then here we're going to go blog page new. And then we're going to go publish. And then we're going to go edit with bricks. So now that's created. And then let's go back to our reading under settings reading. And then for our post page, let's refresh this. And then let's find that blog page new, and we'll go down and click save changes. And now that is saved. So now if we go back to our blog page, and we haven't edited this with Bricks Builder just yet. So if we go ahead and view this, you can see that it's a bit hard to read, but you can see that it's looping through these items here, and it's outputting them in a 2x2 grid. We have the pagination down there. If I highlight that, you sort of get more of an idea. So let's go ahead and build our blog page using Bricks Builder. So I'll show you how I did this using Bricks Builder, because it's actually very easy, and I'm going to run you through why you can do it this way. So here we are, and we're editing this blog page, which is the new blog page that we created. Again, we could just click edit with bricks. I might just do that. And now we're in the editor. So I want my blog page to look exactly like the other post type archive layout that we created, which is this one here. So how would we go and do that? Bricks, it makes it very, very simple. All we have to do is click on our section here, copy. So Command C, or you can just click on the section here and right click and go copy. And then you just go back to the other page, which would be this one here, and Command V and paste that in. And now that's all in there ready to go. And if we click on our loop item, this is using the query loop, which is this. And again, under settings reading, we've set this to our blog page, so it knows to get our blog post. So again, this is another template using the main query. So this is all ready to go. So if I click save, and then we preview this and preview on the front end and have a look at it, this is now our blog page. And if we inspect element here and have a look, you can see that this is in fact our blog page. Now, what I forgot to do is if we drag this in, it only stays in 2 columns. So we obviously want to update that. So I'm going to go back to our post type archive template, and I'm going to go to the different formats over here, the responsive layouts. And at this breakpoint, I might want them to go to 100%. So to do that, I'm going to click on the loop item, and I'm going to edit the width. So style layout. And then here for the width, I'm just going to set it to 100% like that. And then also I like to click on the container, go back, and I just like to sit them like this. It's just being pedantic. So let's just save that. So now this has been updated, and this is the post type archive layout. So I just want to copy this back to the blog. So I'm just going to go over here, copy. So Command C, go over to my blog page. I'm just going to delete that, and then I'll paste, and then it is there. And I'm just going to go through and just make sure that worked. So that's all updated, looking good. So I'm just going to save that, and then we'll just preview on the front end. And now our blog page is all working. And if we drag that in, that goes just as we want it to work just there. And then also if we go back to our post type archive that's applied to that product post type, this is all working as well. And if we drag that in, that's looking good. Okay, now I also forgot to add pagination. So let's go back here and so here after the loop item, we're going to want to add it. So I'm going to click container up here. I'm going to go pagination and then there it is. I'm going to click add it here. So that's going to show at the bottom here. So if I save that and then we preview that and then go down, you can see there's a pagination. If we click on that, then that will go to page 2 and it just goes through the queried items. You can obviously style that if we go back to here and we go back to the builder pagination. Now, what I did realize is you can't see the pagination. I'm not sure if it's a bug or something that they're working on, but I can't seem to preview it. But for now, what I'm doing is I'm changing these. So I might make it the purple background and then the active is say black and then the typography always remains like a light pink color like this. Okay. And then we'll just go ahead and save it. And then I just preview it and then preview on the front end. And then I'll go down and I'll sort of see how that looks. So it's not the end of the world. You can still style it, but it is a little bit frustrating that you can't see it in the builder at this point in time, but I think it might be a bug. So let's just go back to the builder. And again, we've done that pagination. I'm just going to click this and I'm just going to center it and give some margins on the top. So say 30 pixels top, save. And then I'm going to leave that for now. And then I'm just going to go back here. I'm going to copy this again, go back to our blog template, back to builder, delete this, and I'm going to paste it in again and then save. So that's how we go and set up our post type archive template and our blog page. Now, if you're wondering why I'm setting my blog page layout to be the same as my post type archive layout and I'm copying and pasting between them, the post type archive layout and the blog layout, I just want them to be the same. And your blog page, I guess because WordPress started off as a blog software, your blog page doesn't work the same as your post type archives. So even though I want them to be the same, you actually need to go under pages and then create a blog page and then set that page under settings and then reading. You need to set that page as your blog page so that it works and outputs your blog post. So the only post type that we need to set it up differently for is our blog page. But I want it to look the same as all the other post types. So that's just why I created this default post type here. And once I had it laid out, I just copied and pasted it into my blog page. And now they both look the same. But it's really just for your blog page that you need to do this. So now that we've gone ahead and set up our post type archive template and we've set up our blog template, let's go ahead and set up a secondary query using the query loop feature inside Bricks. So let's say we go and we're going to add a new page. So new page, and then this could be my about page. So I'll click publish and then let's go edit with Bricks. And then let's say on this particular page, I want to have this about us page tell a little bit about me. And then I'm going to say, if you want to learn more about some of the things that I cover on my website, here are the latest 5 blog posts from my blog. So to do that, we could just go into insert template. We're going to insert this here. We could add our background there. So we'll go style and we'll go background, and we'll do this here. And then in this container, I'm going to go up here and add a heading. And this heading is going to be the post title. So in content, I'm going to get rid of that heading and then I'll go over to here and I'll go to post title. So that's going to output about us. And then I'm going to make that a H1. And then under this, I'll output some content. So let's just say I'm going to output some basic text. And then this text here will just be about me. So I'm just going to copy and paste this just so we have a little bit of text like that. And then I'm just going to space this out a bit. So I'm going to click here and I might add 20 pixels top margin. And then I'm going to duplicate this. And then for the container here, again, a little bit more about Flexbox, just showing you what's possible. I'm going to click on the container here, and then I'm going to go to content. I'm going to lay them next to each other, and then I'm going to make them wrap. And then the heading, I'm going to edit. I'm going to make its width 100%. And then the text underneath, I'm going to make this say 49% like that. And then this is going to be 49%. Now they're sat next to each other. And then I'm going to click on the container content and I'm going to space them evenly like that. That's just how I would do this. Now, again, I don't really know Flexbox, but I'm getting around by doing stuff like this. So that's there. So I'm going to call this like intro. And then after this, let's go ahead and add a new container. container. We'll click add. We're going to add 2 of them. And then the way that you would make one of them go full width and then bring the other one in is to nest this. So pull it under there. And then this one goes 100% of the width. So now I'm just going to quickly give this a background color just so it stands out. I'm going to give it, like, say, this light pink color. And in doing so, this one's incorrectly inside this. So we actually want to pull it out of there. So I'm going to pull that into there. So now that is under. And I'm going to give this the background of white. So now they're 2 separate ones. Now in this container, if I click, you can see it's not centered. So I'm going to click back to here, content, and we're going to center the content inside. So now you can see that's pulled in. And now in here, let's go ahead and create a secondary query. So we need to create our loop item. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to add another container like this, and we'll click add. And then I'm going to call this loop item. And then here I'm going to turn use query loop on. And now for the query, we're going to start defining some query arguments, because again, the main query here is outputting the content for our About Us page. And then we want to run a secondary query to loop through and output blog posts. So I'm just going to get a heading up here, and I'm just going to clone this. And then I'm just going to pull this into our container above the loop item. And then here I'm going to say start learning today. And then under the loop items, I'm going to start adding my loop content. So here I'm going to go ahead and add a post title. So I'll just go heading again and click in there. And then inside here, I'm going to make this a H3, sounds pretty good. And then here I'm going to add the dynamic data for the post title of that current loop item. Now I'm going to add a little bit of text, so the excerpt. So I'll go rich text, and then in here, get rid of that. And I'm going to add the post excerpt, which is there. And then I might go ahead and add a button, because we haven't added a button module for a little bit now. I'm sort of starting to miss it. So here I'm going to exit off this style, and we're going to set it to the default like that. So for the loop item, let's go ahead and apply our white box CSS class. So I'm going to click on it up to here and go white box. And now that's applied to them. And then let's go into exit out of this. So we're not editing that CSS class. So we're back to editing the container. We'll go to style, layout, and let's just add, say, 15 and bottom like that. And then for this one here, we might go layout, and we'll add, say, 25, and then here we might add 35 below, just to space it out a little bit more. So let's go ahead and just quickly space these out. So I might go 15 above that, and then here we'll go 15 above that. And now that's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm happy with them just going the full width of the page. I might go ahead and just add some text. So some basic text, and I'm just going to explain what this is. Go here and go below is a list of my latest 5 blog posts about WordPress that you can read and start learning from today, like that. On this button module, I forgot. So here we obviously need to say read more like that. And then for the link, we can do dynamic data, and then dynamic data is going to be the post link. Now, what I want to do is at this point, let's go ahead and click save, and then we're going to preview, and then preview on the front end. So we're here coming down. So our main query again is getting the content of our About Us page. And then our secondary query is getting our last 5 blog posts. And you can see I forgot to update that. We'll update that in a second. But if we go down, we can see that this is outputting. This is all looking good. And if we click on this, so WordPress lifetime deals, if we click on this, that takes us to the WordPress lifetime deals page. So it's getting the URL of that current loop item, which is really good. So that is all looking good. So let's go back to here, and let's go back to the editor, and let's just go ahead and edit this. So I'm just going to change this to my latest 5 blog posts, that, and we'll save. And then here I'm just going to make maybe that 25, and the bottom of this 40 like that, just so it's spaced out a little bit more. So now I want to click on this and point out, how does this query know to go and get our blog post and not another custom post type? Well, if we click on this loop item and we go to content and then use query loop, if we click onto this, you can see the default is post. So if I update this to something like product reviews and I click on that, then it will rebuild that query, and it will output my list of software reviews. So Bricks Builder review, WP Codebox review, Fluent Forms, Thrivecart, Commerce HQ review, Beaver Builder review, and so on. So by default, this query, when you turn it on over here, it gets your post, but you can then define your query here. So here, let's just say I want to get post type of product reviews. I want to order by from date, and I want to get the last 5. And going down, you can see that you could define taxonomy queries, meta queries, and so on. So you could click onto here and say, I want to only get blog posts that have this tag, and then put the tag in there. I'm not going to do that for this tutorial, but let's leave it as it is for there. So we're going to click save and then we'll go preview on the front end and reloading, go down. My latest 5 blog posts, well, that should say product reviews now, but I go, this one here, that one there. And if I click into this, then we go into that there. So that's working as planned. So that's all good. That's already set up. So that's how you would go and build a custom loop. And that's how you'd go and overwrite the defaults of the custom loop going from post to all the other arguments. So something that I'm always finding myself doing is trying to stick a element in my sidebar or my blog post so that when people are scrolling my blog post, I have something front and center there, whether it's an ad or it's my email opt-in form. I always want to do that. And I was actually using a plugin to achieve that used JavaScript, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But using Bricks Builder, we can actually set this up without having to use any plugins or run JavaScript, and it's very, very easy. Now, I actually need to do this on my website right now, so I thought I would put it here in the video because you might find it helpful because I struggled a little bit to get it working. And now that I know how to do it, it is so easy. You just got to know where to click in Bricks Builder. So I want to show you that how to sticky an element in your sidebar using Bricks. So here we are on my blog, wagepirate.com. And if I go to my blog page and then we go down and I click on a blog post, if I scroll down and down and down, this here, want to make more money with your WooCommerce website. If people click on this, that opens up an opt-in form and they can opt in to join my mailing list. So the reason that I have it there is people will land from Google onto a blog post. They'll read the blog post. Maybe you'll read the blog post and then you might like the content in there and say, you know what, I want to actually get more of this content. How do I get more of this? I want to learn more. And so I want to have this front and center so that people can opt in at any time to receive my tip. Now, this is actually using the JavaScript plugin because I didn't know how to do it with Bricks, but I actually found it out this morning. So if we have a look here and inspect element, we can see that this has an ID, so sidebar -fixed, and it's a top 80, the position is fixed. But if you scroll up, see how it goes position relative, and if we scroll down, it goes position fixed. That's using JavaScript. Now, I don't want to use JavaScript because again, this is a built-in feature inside Bricks Builder now. So let's go ahead and disable this plugin that uses JavaScript and recreate it using Bricks Builder. So firstly, let's go ahead and go to my dashboard. So I'll go to dashboard, and then I'm going to go down to plugins and then installed plugins. And then let's go and find that plugin, and it is called Fixed Widget, which is here. So this fixed widgets on scroll, if you go to settings and we go down here, basically how it works is you just set the div, so the ID of the HTML element you want to stick, and then it works. It worked pretty well, but there's a better way now with Bricks. So let's go ahead and go back here, and I'm just going to deactivate this plugin, and then let's go back to our blog post, and I'm just going to refresh this, and let's scroll down and see that's disabled, so it's not sticking. So let's go ahead and set that up in Bricks. So to do that, we're going to go back to the dashboard and go to Bricks and then template, and then I'm going to go find that template. So it's this one here. So the template type is a single, so it's affecting my single post layouts under the conditions where the post type is my blog post or product reviews. So this is the one that we want to edit. So let's go ahead and edit with Bricks Builder. And now we're going to be in the Bricks editor, and you can sort of see how this is set up. I have this post content module. So again, if I go up here and go content, this is actually a module you drag into the page, and then this will output my Gutenberg content in its place here. And then everything around it, I'm designing here in Bricks in the template. So the first thing that we need to do is specify the element that I want to sticky on scroll. So it's going to be here. So I'm going to click into it and go down and down. And this is going to be the container I want to stick on scroll. So I'm going to rename this, and I'm just going to call this Get My Tips. And then let's go ahead and set this to sticky. So to do that, we click to edit this container, and then here under style and then layout, if we go down, we'll see position, and here we want to go position, and we'll click here and we'll do sticky. So if you've never seen position sticky before, it is in fact a CSS thing that you can select. So like static, which is your default, where you can set something to be relative or absolute or fixed. Sticky is just another one that you can set. So we're going to set this to sticky. And then when you do that, you must set a top here. So I'm going to set this to 1 pixel for now, but Bricks Builder does a good job of putting this notice in there so you don't forget, because if you forget, it could drive you a little crazy wondering why it's not working. So let's go ahead and save that. And now this container is set to position sticky 1 pixel from the top. But what is actually important to note at this point is this isn't enough to get this working. So if we go to the front end of our website and we refresh the page here and we scroll down and down and down, notice how that isn't working. Now, this was a tricky part for me. The parent element of this one that we want to sticky must have have a height set. So to do that, if we go back into here, I'm just going to collapse some of these for now just to make it a bit easier to follow along. We need to give this parent a height so that our stickied element has a reference point to stick to. So the easiest way to do that in Bricks Builder is we're going to click on the parent element, and then I'm going to go back up here and go to content. And now what I want to point out at this stage is if we click on primary, this container, notice the green box shows us where this primary container's bounding box is. You can see it starts here and it ends here. But if we click on the sidebar, notice how the sidebar starts here and it ends only here. So we want to make this sidebar stretch the height of our primary content area. And it's very easy to do it in Bricks because Bricks uses Flexbox. So all we need to do to achieve that is click on the parent, and then here we click on stretch. And now if we hover back on the sidebar, notice how it's stretching the full height of the primary content area. So see how they're both equal now? And that's all we need to do. It's very simple, but it just took me a little bit to work out what was happening. And it was because you need to do this. You need to give the sidebar a height. So now if we save this and we go back to the front end of our website and we refresh, when we scroll down now and down now, notice how that's sticking at the top. Now on the front end for a logged out user where they don't have the admin bar, this is going to look pretty good. But if we go back here and we want to add some more spacing, I'm just going to click back into the sidebar, get my tips, style, and then down here, sticky from the top, I might say 30 and then go save and then just refresh this and then scroll down, and now that's stickied where we want it to be. And again, at any time, someone can click that and opt into my email list. So as you can see, it's really easy to do in Bricks Builder. You don't need any extra plugins. This is pure CSS and it's all done using the Bricks interface. So the way that I use WordPress is I'm trying to build a business. I'm trying to build a WooCommerce website that sells products, or I'm trying to make blogging money from affiliate marketing. And so I'm going out and trying to piece together different parts of plugins and themes to build the website that will allow me to make money with my businesses and build my businesses. I'm not a developer, and I want to get that out of the way because, you know, we're going to go into the speed of Bricks Builder and the interface. And there's going to be people out there that are hardcore developers that can comment more about the technologies and stuff like that. So my perspective is going to be more from somebody that's just using WordPress to build a WordPress website. Me building websites using Bricks Builder, coming from Beaver Builder, to edit websites using Bricks Builder, it is super quick. Like to go from viewing my website like this, right? And then I want to edit this using Bricks Builder. If I click edit with Bricks Builder and I'm not going to pause the video or anything like this, it starts loading and now I'm in the editor. It is super quick to go ahead and do things. So to go and get from looking at your content into editing it using Bricks Builder, super quick. To edit things on the page when you're in the editor, super quick as well. So, you know, if I want to, you know, go ahead and copy and then paste that there, you know, very, very quick. If I want to go to my website, so I'm here and let's just say I go to my contact page here and then I go edit with Bricks. And then this is going to load the Bricks Builder and then I'm in the Bricks Builder. If I go back here and I go over to here and I go copy over here and then down the bottom paste, it pastes it. It's just very quick. Like everything about it in terms of launching the editor and using the editor, super quick. So without going too far into this again, because I'm more of a user than a hardcore developer, what I want to do is just point you in some of the right directions if you want to find more information about this sort of stuff and how it's built, the languages it's using and so on. So the Bricks website, you can go and read this. So /launch, you can have a look at some of the tests that they've done there. If you go to my Bricks Builder review, I'm going to link that in the description under this video. If you go there and you go to my table of contents over here and then go, is it fast for visitors? And you go down, I've put a table in here that compares Bricks to the popular page builders and it shows you the page size that it produces. It's fewer HTTP requests than the other ones. So you could click this and then go and read more about the Bricks website. That just goes to the homepage, but they do a really good job of explaining a little bit more technically what's going on behind the scenes to allow it to just run so fast in the builder and then also produce fast pages on the front end. end. There's also some things that I found as well. So if you go to roadmap and then you go to changelog, if you have a search for assets, this release here is a really good one to look at as well. So if you click this link here, you can go to when they did their changelog, they did a video on the changes that they made for this changelog, for the changes in this version. And you can sort of go through some of the changes that they made and how they were able to reduce the assets that load for Bricks Builder. So if we have a look here, if you watch this video and you go to, I think it's about around here. So if we go to this part in the video and just open that up, you can see that before, so the previous version of Bricks, this CSS JavaScript, they were these sizes. And then after they were able to reduce it by 27%, 90%. And then via external files, it was by 86% and 90%. So these are the assets that are used to build the Bricks builder, the interface for you to go and do things. So reducing the file size of that, they've obviously optimized the code, so less code, it loads faster. So basically all I can say here is that they are building this plugin with the forethought of them making sure everything's as optimized as possible, or just constantly revising what they've done and trying to make it load faster and faster and faster. So they're not trying to bloat the software and just add any features that people are wanting to add. They're really keeping it a lean machine, if you will. And, I like that. So, I just like the approach they're taking to building this. And it really does show when you're in the editor and you're doing things and you're trying to build your website using Bricks Builder. But again, those resources are going to be the best way to go and do it. And again, also, if you go to the Bricks Builder website, the homepage, scroll down and click on Can I Try Bricks Builder? Launch this, give it a go, create your sandbox, start playing around, and you'll see just how fast the builder loads. It really is the fastest page builder that I've ever used. Now, I'm sure you've probably gone to the Bricks Builder website and looked at the pricing and the refund policy, and you know a little bit about that. So I'm not going to make this a massive section about comparing the price of Bricks Builder to Oxygen, Beaver Builder, and so on. But I'm going to, put all the things that I wish that I had known into a very short segment here, just to get you up to speed with the most important things that I feel like you need to know. So firstly, what is the price of Bricks Builder? If you go to their website and go down to the pricing table, you'll see there's two different plans, $79 for one site or $199 for unlimited websites. They're both one-time payments and lifetime deals. So you just choose whichever one you want to do there. If you want to upgrade, what I actually did is I bought the starter to trial out Bricks Builder and see if I liked it. I really liked it. And then I sent the support an email. I think it's like support@bricksbuilder.io, but it's somewhere. There's a contact form somewhere. Send them an email and say, hey, I want to upgrade from my starter to the ultimate license. They'll give you a coupon code for $79. And what you do is you just add the ultimate one to cart. So you click here, enter the coupon code, that takes off the $79, and then you purchase it. And then in your account, you will have a license key for your starter license, and then you'll have a second license key for unlimited websites. And obviously when you're going and building your websites, you would just use the license key for this purchase here for the ultimate. So you can upgrade, and it's very easy to do. Now, let's have a look at how to demo Bricks Builder. So if you go down here again on the homepage, you can click Try Bricks Builder first, click that. That's going to take you to their playground, which is a multi-site setup where you can go and test bricks. So you put in your email address and you click Create Account, and they'll send you an email with your login details, and then you log into the website. So I'm already logged in here. So if we go to Try Bricks and then Dashboard, and then My Sites, you can see I click on here. So here's my test site. And now I'm in here and I can demo Bricks Builder in this test environment. So what I want to point out here, and the reason I'm making this video, is that if you want to go and see how complex of a WooCommerce website you could build, for example, if you go down to plugins, you'll see that there's these plugins here. WooCommerce, you can send yourself emails here. You can create custom post types with these plugins here. ACF is in there. And then you have Metabox, Pods, and so on. So I just wanted to point it out that you have the ability to go and see how far you can push, common plugins using Bricks Builder. They're deactivated by default, but you can activate them and then import dummy data and so on. So I just wanted to point that out there. So that is one way to go out and test Bricks Builder in that demo environment. But sometimes how I like to test page builders is to take my live website with all my real data in it, which was a Beaver Builder website, and then set up a staging website, so an exact replica of my live website. And then I install a new page builder, and then I try and build with my real data using that new page builder and see how I go. go. So if you want to go down that route and clone your website to staging, install Bricks Builder, and then try and recreate your website in Bricks Builder and get a feel for how it works with your real data, what I would recommend doing, and what you can do, is buy the starter plan for $79. And if you go down here, the refund policy for Bricks Builder says that it's open right now until they get enough initial feedback to feel like it's a solid solution. And I really feel like it is a solid solution now. Like my wagepirate.com website that's live is running on Bricks Builder, and there's a lot of websites out there currently running on Bricks Builder live. I think they're just saying that because they might have high expectations for where they want this product to go, and they just don't want the pressure of, refund policy and bad support. I don't know. I'm just making assumptions here. But at this point in time, they want to add more features before they come and say, 30 days refund policy. So right now it says the refund policy is open. So you could buy it today. You could test Bricks out for the $79, try and recreate your website using it, get a feel for it. And then if you still don't like it, you could ask for a refund. The refund is open. So you could try and do that today and you could refund it in 2 months time from now and so on. So the next thing I want to do is compare Bricks Builder to some other page builders in terms of pricing very quickly, because you can go and check pricing plans. So if we have a look at Oxygen, which is one of the most popular comparisons, page builders compared to Bricks Builder, they have two different pricing plans. So the basic is $129, ultimate $149. So if we split screen here, you can see that the entry level one site license is cheaper with Bricks, but the unlimited websites is cheaper with Oxygen. Now, what I did notice is if you go back to my Bricks Builder review and you scroll down, the first heading currently in this review is Bricks Builder lifetime deal. And then if you go down, I've linked here to a separate article. If we click on this, if we go down, I took a screenshot of the Oxygen pricing table the other day, and they had 4 different plans. So I'm not sure if I don't know what's happened, if they've just tried to be a little bit more in line with Bricks Builder, because Bricks Builder is getting so much popularity right now. But it seems like they've simplified the pricing plans. So if you've seen the pricing of Oxygen at these prices, it's probably worth going back and checking their website. Now, it is a little bit more similar to Bricks now, so you can easily compare them. But at the end of the day, for a lifetime license or something that's going to save you hours of work every single day, I don't think you'd be picking Bricks Builder over Oxygen because it's a little bit cheaper here for $50 and so on. I just want to point that out here. Now, the only other thing that I want to touch on in terms of pricing here is Beaver Builder, because that's what I was coming from. So if we go to the Beaver Builder website, you can see their pricing table here. So I was just on the standard for the last couple of years. And if we have a look here, it's $99 at a 40% renewal. And if you go down, they have this add-on plugin called Beaver Themer, and that is $147, and that's renewed every single year. And I think you get the 40% off on that as well. So if you're going out and building websites using Beaver Themer, I would assume that you have this add-on as well as one of these up here, because you do need this to go out and build your archive pages, your single post type templates, your search pages, your headers, your footers, and then also this here, Beaver Themer, allows you to show and hide modules on the page based on conditions. So if you have this pricing table here, maybe you want to hide that from logged in users because they've already purchased your membership to your website. So you could edit this module inside Beaver Builder and only show it for logged out users. That sort of functionality would be available in Beaver Themer. And if we do a bit of math there, it's $246 for both of them for the first year. And then at a 40% renewal, 40% off for the renewal, it's $147 each year that you're paying to use Beaver Builder. So it's obviously a lot more money than Bricks Builder, both just for the upfront investment as well as the ongoing costs. And whereas you need the Beaver Builder plugin and the Beaver Themer plugin to do what I just discussed with the single post templates and so on there, you can do all of that inside these deals here for Bricks. So you can go out and build your entire website, all the templates in your website, your single post layouts, your archive layouts. You can do everything inside this here. So you don't need any add-ons here. So it does work out a lot cheaper here, and you basically get the same functionality. Now that leads me into the next part of this, which is how sustainable is this lifetime deal if it's so much cheaper than Beaver Builder? Because we have to understand Beaver Builder has a really solid reputation as a page builder. I I love Beaver Builder. It has a place in my heart because I've used it for like the last 6 years, and without it, I wouldn't have been able to build the businesses that I currently run with it. And their developer module API, where you can go and build these really complex page elements using their API for the modules, being able to do that has allowed my business to grow. I have a lot of custom modules in my WooCommerce website that I don't think I could have achieved with any other page builder. But coming back here, Beaver Builder have been around for a very long time. They have a really solid following, and they're known for stable releases and just being a solid, stable page builder. How much of their success and their longevity has been, related to their ability to charge customers every year to keep the lights on? Whereas Bricks Builder, it's a one-off, one-time payment. How sustainable is that? So that leads me into this post here that I saw in the Facebook group. So this is by Thomas, which is the developer of Bricks Builder. And there's only 2 developers of Bricks Builder, which is pretty crazy with what they've been able to achieve. But he's the, I guess, main developer, maybe the only founder, co-founder, I'm not quite sure, but he's like the main face of Bricks Builder. And if we go down here, he says lifetime deal questions. So he's answering this because, people are obviously asking about this. So the earlier you join Bricks, the better the deal. Seems fair. Price is supposed to reflect the value of the software. But what I wanted to go down here is he mentions the sustainability of Bricks lifetime deal. In short, there is nothing to be concerned about. Nothing, zero, nada. We are profitable since launch day and grow stronger with every day and release. We also run leaner, more nimble, and optimized than ever before. Can't picture an event where this would be a serious threat. And then he says, moving to from a lifetime to subscription, it's not guaranteed for anything. It's not magically turning an unprofitable or struggling business into a profitable one, especially not overnight. It can make things worse. No one knows up front the conversion rates, renewals, yada yada. As mentioned, we will be adjusting the pricing as we see fit. We will most likely introduce a subscription alongside the lifetime deal at some point in the future. If we do so, it'll come from a place of strength, not desperation. When that day comes, the lifetime deal won't be at $199. Okay, so the price will be going up, obviously, is what he means there. We'll announce this in upcoming price changes far in advance, and so on. So I just wanted to add that in there because I know a lot of people are wondering about all these softwares that get put on AppSumo as lifetime deals, and then you buy the license and then they're just abandoned in a month or a year or whatever like that. This is from the developer, and he's saying don't stress about it. So that's enough for me just not to stress about it. I think this is a really good, solid, output of his thoughts and what's going on behind the business. How are they doing with that lifetime deal? So yeah, basically, I don't feel like we need to stress about that. What I will say is if I go to WooFunnels, which is one of my favorite, most used WordPress plugins right now, if we go to pricing and we go down, you can see how they've sort of structured this. And this is sort of how I think Bricks Builder is going to approach it in the future. So they have a single site license and you can buy, it here. So this is like the funnel builder, and then you can get the funnel builder plus the CRM, which I would recommend doing that. I have reviews all over my website about this. I'll link them in the description below as well. But then they also have the agency, and an agency can go annual or they can go lifetime. So you can see there, you have the option of doing it every single year, or you can pay a bit more, which looks like if we go back here, so $249, so $99. So it's about 4 times the annual fee. They've made the lifetime fee. So again, once they are around for a bit longer and they have numbers and they can see the average person renews a Bricks license for like 3 years, whatever, if they're charging the lifetime license at a 3-year multiple, then it might make sense for them as a business. But, obviously the more data they have, the better they can estimate that and price a lifetime deal. But I feel like this will be the route they eventually go. So next, what I would recommend if you want to learn more about Bricks Builder, if you head to my website, wagepirate.com, and you scroll down, at the bottom of every page is this newsletter subscribe bar. If you put in your name and email address there, I'll send you tips about Bricks Builder and how to use WordPress to make money online. Also, don't forget to check out the blog post. It covers what we discussed in this video today, but covers some other things in more detail and gives a bit more about my personal opinion on some things that I didn't quite get a chance to cover in this video. So I would recommend, as well as watching this video today, reading this blog post here, because it really does cover some things that are important as well. Also, if you want to support my free content that I'm putting out on my blog and then also here on YouTube, I put together a list here called affiliate URLs. And if you scroll down, it just lists all the plugins that I'm using. These are all my affiliate links. So if you like my content and you want to use my affiliate links to purchase any of the software, then this is the page. It's just going to list them all there for you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Under playlists here, I get every video that I do and I put it into its own playlist playlist, and each playlist is a different WordPress plugin. So that's an easy way to navigate my channel. And then also under videos, if you're looking for a particular video to watch next, I'd recommend watching this one here. I show you how to build an entire sales funnel inside of WordPress. I feel like every business online today should be building sales funnels, whether it's an opt-in funnel or a funnel to increase your WooCommerce sales with upsells and downsells. This video will show you how to do both of those things there. So I recommend watching that next. And I'll leave a link directly to this video and you'll be able to see it right now. Thanks for watching this video and I'll see you guys in the next one.